Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a Coffee, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So, a massive shout of thanks and appreciation to Amish, Vitali Z, Colton James, BG, Survive the Spin, FE Patriot, Steve, On the Level, Thomas van der Zander, Gary Hughes, Measured Flat, Chris Wouters, Cherry Coke Dental, Dentist Bill, Mitch Kennedy, Rod Twadwazzle, Jason Hornsby, Christoph Fournier, Flat Earth Travolta, JMels24, Unimento, M Iron 26, Endless, Golden McKinnon, Retro Bill, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Hairy Blade, Mobile Mac 777, Rob W, Del West Watson, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Texas Mike, Chow Young Cat, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Links to Patreon are below this video. Now I'll hand over to whoever is in the Flat Earth Debate Discord server and G+, so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
Yeah, I don't see the arena. I just see the live stream 1, live stream 2.
Okay, well, I think arena must be live stream 1. 24/7 Flat Earth Arena with a record sign, which must be a live room, right?
Right. Do you want me to join that?
I'll join it now, because obviously that'll drop me from this server. And then hopefully you'll follow me in there. So there's a couple of people in there. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Looks like we're in there. Don't need any privileges to be here. Town says nobody joins me. I'm stuck here on my own. We'll see.
What's new, man? How you guys doing?
Good. How are you? You okay?
Yeah. Fast. Good. Came back from my country a couple of nights ago. Still catching up with a lot of work to catch up with. All good, man. Should be back in lineup by Monday morning. Got a tooth pulled out of my head. Got a new implant. Fixed a few teeth.
Cool.
For my family and friends. Great time.
Good. All went well then.
Yep. How's your tooth situation?
Same as it was.
Oh, okay. You still in pain?
Yeah. Constant trips to the dentist.
You should go. I told you already, but if you can put some money together for it, get to Croatia, yeah,
Maybe. For the now,
fix everything.
Somebody gave me a chunk of money, several £100s, while I was moaning about it the first time around, and it just facilitated the ability to go to the dentist and hand over the money each time for each appointment, which was great.
Nathan, if you go to a doctor that's just gonna milk you and go little by little, like, if you can make an appointment, bro, I can hook you up with this doctor that's gonna take care of your whole mouth for the best price that you can get, guaranteed. This is a family friend, does amazing dental work. Just throwing it out there. If you can put the money together for your flight, hook you up with this doctor. Promise you, bro.
Is he in Croatia?
In Croatia.
I may need that contact information, so yes, I will potentially take you up on that. For the now,
Sir.
I'm all right. I'm all right. For the now.
Let me know anytime. Right? So what's new in the FE world? I've been out of touch. I signed up that one night when you guys were when Vitsa joined.
Well, you left at a good time because all we've done since, as a collective, is cover Witsit. Obviously, we've done a couple of reaction videos as well, but
Are we doing what's it today or what's
Well, just generally covering Whitsit's lies, because he's out there representing us, isn't he?
True Earth Mount Meru? What is that? That's something new. Dave Weiss? Was that a
What is it, as in
virtual
what's Mount
summit?
Meru? Or what's his
No,
spin
no, I
on it?
know what
Because I
Mount
don't know.
Meru is, but a virtual summit. What's that all?
No idea.
Posted here in the letter arena. Cam. Nobody. What?
Possibly it's something else we'll have to concern ourselves with. I don't know.
Are you anticipating a different crowd today at the politics service, Nathan? Maybe a different bunch of people. You can't be there on a Thursday, typically.
I don't know. It's just we were discussing it yesterday. So why not? I haven't actually
We're
cleared
learning
it with
politics
anybody.
now.
I've just turned up.
Yeah, I like this idea. Spur of the moment. It's how you create waves.
That was my idea. Very good idea, I must say.
Well, I had AI coming in going, we'll have to arrange an ability to facilitate you going here, there, and everywhere. And I'm like, yeah, no worries. Well, 24/7 Flat Earth Discord's on my list of places that I can just join. So presumably I've been welcomed at some stage.
Yeah, you'll make it work. It'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
It'll
Forgiveness,
be all right on the
permission,
night.
all that sort of stuff.
It'll be all right on the
Yeah.
night. Remember that
There
TV
hasn't
show?
been
That
a
was
lot of
great back
action
in the
on this
day.
server.
There you go, Mush.
I said there hasn't been a lot of action in this 24/7 server. This is not politics, you guys aware, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm wherever we are.
This place used to be packed all the time.
How do I get a join link to this so I can publish it, or can I give it to one of the mods so they can put it in the live stream chat when we go live?
Put it in our
Do
link
you know
to
how to
this
do that,
server.
Mush?
Yeah, I can do that right now.
Can you post it in Master B, and then I can instruct any mods that are in the live stream to use that link to encourage people to come to this Discord server?
Yes, I can do that directly from this server. I'll post a link to our server. Right? Is that
As
what you're
in
saying?
24/7 Flat Earth Discord, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna take a link from this server and post it in our server so people from our server know to come here.
Sure. Can that also be put in Master B just so I can give it to the YouTube mods, and then they can direct people to this server from the live
I
stream?
don't think so, but I can also I can put it in a. I don't think I can put it in a Skype.
Why not?
I can put it in a YouTube also.
Are you a YouTube mod?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, perfect. If you can, no, just nominate yourself. If when we go live, if possible, if you can put that in the live stream chat, I'll indicate that it's taking them to this server. I don't know what the process is for them to be validated in 24/7 Flat Earth Discord, but whatever it may be, at least they've got a link to get here. Once they get here,
Do that.
it's obviously Flat Earth 24/7 Discord's problem whether or not they've made it friendly to let them in.
For sure, bro. I'll do that as soon as the.
I mean, if it ends up being an extremely quiet day because it's a quieter server than our own, then so be it. At least we're putting a few feelers out to get people to come to this server, which is typically a bit quieter, from what I understand.
I picture the normie coming into the server on their day off, thinking, "Oh yeah, I'll spend a couple of hours listening," and they're scrolling down to see flat Earth. All these people talking about flat Earth. So then they click on it. Could be a roll of a dice what they get. It could be an ad hoc tennis match. It could be measurements. It could be anything. It's got to be a lot to contend with mentally if this is your first exposure to the subject.
Well, in the day's work for us, though, eh? Thank you.
If anybody's got access to Mortal One server, whatever that's called, maybe they can put the link there. Attract some anti-flat earthers.
I've stuck it in my YouTube live stream, so
Yeah, that should be enough.
I've
Now,
already seen
that
names.
gentleman yesterday, Nathan, that you played in the pre-show, who had been researching Flat Earth, one of the first things he went to was Facebook groups. Is there a Flat Earth debate a Facebook group at all? Have you got a Facebook group for it?
No. You mean managing it, right? Like Discord. But I don't doubt there is, yeah. Undoubtedly there is. Probably multiple.
I just thought it might be worth you joining what's out there and sharing your show on there.
I share the show on Facebook, but as for being involved with these other platforms, if there's a proactive attempt to get me somewhere, like AI coming and going, look, we're broadcasting on X from 24/7. Great, I'll take part. In other words, I'll make time to do that sort of thing. But as for me proactively doing it, I just don't have the time.
Fair enough.
Hopefully one of those will work. I've stuck both of them in. Thanks, Bush.
Yeah, no problem, bro. So yeah, I guess I post a link to the server, but not directly to this room. So whoever clicks on it, it's gonna come directly 24/7 Discord server, but then they're gonna get voice verified, then join.
Yeah, again, like I said, that's their bag. How they deal with their traffic, if you will, is their business. But I'll do my damnedest, I'll publish the link. It's on the YouTube stream, as I say. Can you pop yourself on local mute endless unless you wanted to say something? Thanks.
I was just going to say, hey, Amish, maybe you can advertise it on Twitter.
I don't have a
Yep, I'll
Twitter
get on
account.
it. I'll spam the link, and we also need to put a notice in the lobby here for extra moderators to be available for check-ins.
Look at you guys, man. Slick. The ant hive's buzzing already. I love it.
Just want to say hello. Hello, Nathan. Hello, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Good morning, buddy.
Hello.
Got video. We'll still cover it as though we were in our own server. Hopefully that's not perceived as rude. But Bob the Science Guy's released a video on gyroscopes effectively, saying they're self-stabilizing, not rigid in space, but also rigid in space. Very amusing stuff. We'll cover it when we go live. Is it you that shared that, Sensual?
No, Uncle Brian.
Brian shared it. Was it Brian? I thought
Yeah,
was
it
you.
must be.
Oh, I thought, just force of assuming that it's you that shares these things. Was it actually Brian that shared it? Go back and look. Oh, yeah. Someone else is repeating the sentiment and sharing Brian's link where Brian shared it. But it's Brian that says it, not someone else. Okay, I got you. At Nathan, review for tomorrow. I've only watched 47 seconds and I'm already laughing. Yeah, that's what I did when I did the sound check on it. I'm like, what the hell? The interesting
I
part
think
of this
someone
video...
replied to his comment, so that then reposts the link that he's referring to. That's why it
Yes.
shows twice.
Yeah. I just saw the one that was lowest on the list, which isn't Brian. But the interesting thing is the day, or I can't remember if it was the day before or day after, whatever, just before the pitch data dropped on the public officially. I'm sure I've mentioned this before. Brian just happened to call me when I was at one of the homemade classes that I do with my eldest daughter, an art class. So I stepped out and spent, I don't know, half an hour, 40 minutes with Brian, going over what could they possibly do to challenge this. And we were having a good old chuckle between us about how they'd have to violate the law of non-contradiction, and they wouldn't have a reference to describe that violation from if they bend horizontal, right? That's what we're kind of chuckling about for 40 minutes as we, between us, say, well, what's the contrapositive position that can be put to this argument? Because it's not really an argument, it's a conclusion. So how can they approach this conclusion? And like I say, we chuckle along about all the stupid nonsense they could potentially come up with. And now we're seeing it all. It's just weird hearing them while me and Brian are sort of saying, nah, they wouldn't say that something rigid in space isn't rigid in space, would they? Yeah, they would. I mean, it's got to be a while ago now. I don't know how long pitch data's been out for, but it seems like a long time ago that I was talking about it with Brian, because I remember it being a beautiful day outside, and, you know, it's certainly not now. So it's got to be at least 6 months ago. But it's taken that long for them to think, how can we get around this? And literally in a phone call, me and Brian, within about 20 or 30 minutes, had come up with all the things that they're now trickling out 6 months later. But trickling it out in a way that's like serious. Like I say, me and Brian were laughing about this. Nah, they won't do that, will they? Yeah, they will. But it's really stupid. Yeah, I know. Can't wait. So now we're seeing those fruits. Excellent stuff. Have you watched it? Or has anybody watched it for that matter? Attitude Indicators and the Globe, it's called. By Bob the Science Guy.
I saw about 5 minutes of it. To be honest, 25 minutes is a lot to contend with when it's Bob.
Is that how long it is?
quite
I've only
draining.
got about a minute in. I thought this is enough. Good. Anybody else see it?
Good morning.
Go ahead, whoever that was. Heretic. Go ahead. Or don't.
The double-speak dance he's going to do is the same as all the other double-speak dances have to do with the horizon, with Earth turn, with everything. So it's just the same old, but with a new paint of colour.
Yeah, exactly. Just to preempt it, what they need to do is deviate from horizontal in their description. Now, they're going to describe it with gravity, but it's ultimately a description from a reference that they must violate. So they no longer have a reference to describe the deviation from if they're suggesting that horizontal, as in attitude indication pitch data, isn't actually horizontal. It's self-correcting, where you're like, well, then you need something to describe it from to describe the deviation. It's a violation of the law of non-contradiction in the truest sense, but very amusing. Want Brian here, really, because this is his baby. I know it's also Adam and QE's baby because they both talked about it, but it really is Brian who pushed for this information, chased it down, nagged Wolfie for years, and noted those facts. So when, I've forgotten the guy's name, he's got some weird name, actually came up with some pitch data, that is, Brian was all over it. And when Brian presented to me, I was like, this is it. This is the silver bullet number, whatever it is now.
Buck Sodbuster.
Say again?
His name is Buck Sodbuster, and he's in the chat every day.
Yeah, Buck Sodbuster. Once he'd provided it to Brian, I was like, this is it. I'm lazy as all hell. So going through the logical inferences of flight is well and good for you, and it all does make sense. It's just, I like things to be simpler. You know, I don't really want the logical consistency argument. I'd just have the conclusion over all of it, and that's what the pitch data is. So, of course, I'm going to get behind it. I jumped on that bandwagon immediately. I'm like, this is awesome. Yes, please. Love it. But prior to that, when anybody brought up the arguments for flight, I'm like, yeah, I get it. Yeah, I get it. It does prove a flat Earth, but I won't be using it. Why not? What's wrong with it? Nothing. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just having the pitch data from such an official source, like somebody that's dealing with, very serious incidents and sometimes huge numbers of deaths. It's a serious business. So in terms of sources, it doesn't get any better. So that's it. It's a done deal.
Nathan.
But it wouldn't be a done deal if it wasn't for the fact that people like Brian, like Adam, and like Quantum Eraser had offered up the logical consistency. So it was prevalent and everyone was aware of it at the very least prior to the pitch data. Without that as a footing for the pitch data to be, plopped on top of, it is the pedestal that the pitch data itself sits on. So I haven't really contributed to that in any way. In fact, I've been slightly, not really, but slightly detrimental in my lack of support for it up until now. But, it's those foundations that were built by Quantum Eraser, lots of other people as well, Daryl Marble and various others, but I'm not going to list them all. But what I'm saying is the people who've explained the logic behind it are now all validated by the pitch data as a conclusion. So you need that pedestal to stick it on. And then without that pedestal, it wouldn't be as effective. I couldn't jump on the bandwagon because people would be like, well, what's it for? What's it mean? What about flights? Well, if you've had presentation, every 2, 3, 4 months, however long they get repeated, people are aware of what it infers logically and the conclusions that you can draw from that logic. Well, here's a conclusion that's written in stone on a piece of paper from a board that's dealing with accidents, the NTSB. So you're like, this is it. This is the gold standard now.
Nathan, the guy Buck Sodbuster that revealed the pitch data, he's resorted to coming back with saying he's been waiting for years for someone to show me how dip correction is calculated without using a 3959-mile radius, but nobody has ever attempted it. Now, we answered this the other day, but this is what he's resorted to.
I don't care what his logical inferences are for a flat Earth fact. It doesn't matter what he says.
Yeah. They're reaching and they're trying, but they're just being woefully ignorant. Then you got the other guy coming in claiming that there's sloped angles. It's because the Earth is curved, and that's why you do dip correction. They have no clue.
And that would be pretty easy to derive this correction not using the globe map, right?
If you say radius, you're using horizontal.
Radius has nothing to do with it.
Wait, did this guy say a globe map? You better off stand. Please. You embarrassed.
Let's find a Brian then.
You'd be lucky for him to turn up on time, let alone early.
Oh yeah, I started early, didn't I? It seems like it should be later than it is.
So if someone is interested, I posted a link to a video that is 1 minute long that derives this correction using the globe mathematics. It isn't very long and complicated, so
Nobody cares, bro. Put yourself on mute.
Sorry, did you say dip correction?
Yes.
That's an angle, isn't it? It's a dip angle. Yeah, you need a flat Earth for that. Do I care what the globe mathematics say after you've measured an angle with respect to a plane and then corrected it to it? Not really.
I fully agree it's an angle, right? But an angle needs two straight lines. So on flat Earth, I'm confused what these lines are to, because you have a horizontal line, and what's the second line in that case? If the horizon is already supposed to be horizontal, there cannot be a discrepancy between the horizon and the horizontal if these two are the same things.
No, you're correcting to surface level.
That's not an answer to the question, what's the angle
it is.
to? Because an angle from definition is straight lines.
Okay, my bad. You're correcting to surface level, and you're above surface level. That's what you're correcting to. The horizon's formed with the ground that you're above. That's why you've got to correct to it. You're still correcting to a flat surface level with straight lines that aren't bent in any form or shape. But you want to know how we deal with these angle corrections where a globe is concerned. Well, we're not measuring with respect to anything globe-shaped at all, ever. Nor are we correcting to it. When we use surface level, we don't do that. We just use a flat Earth. We just use a flat Earth. I'll just try and make my conclusion that's obviously scary for you, Embo. Just 3 more words. It's just a flat Earth that we need. I know that you wanted to rumpus that. It was obviously a little bit scary to hear the conclusion that we will be requiring a flat plane of reference to correct to surface level.
So from the definition, from what you said, from what I understand, one of the sides of the angle would be the surface, right? Because you said something about correcting to the surface. Is that true?
That's what the horizon's formed with.
Okay. And the other one would be to the star, I guess. Or
what do you mean, okay? So welcome to flat Earth. What do you want? You think we're going to move past this point? So yeah, we're correcting to a flat plane. The horizon's formed with the flat plane. Surface level. Yeah, the horizon. Yeah, the ground that you're above that we correct to. Yeah, I've gone over everything. No globe required. Just a flat Earth. Welcome to flat Earth. We measure Earth flat.
I don't really think I'm welcome there because, firstly, I don't really think this correction makes sense to exist on flat Earth in the first place. There's no things that you would be measuring the angle to in the case of the deep angle.
Yeah, the surface. Secondly, are you deaf? The horizon's formed with the surface. Are you deaf?
But the surface is only one side. And when I asked you for the second side, you said something completely...
So we're correcting an angle to the surface. Now, that line's never going to be curved if we're correcting angles to it. It's got to be flat. Welcome to flat Earth.
But angle requires two lines. So far we only got one line.
Neither are curved. Neither will be curved, will they? There's no globe involved. We're just correcting to surface level. Surface level forming the horizon that we're utilising in this instance. There's a correction because we're above it. Welcome to flat Earth.
So on the globe, I think the globe is...
No, we're not correcting with curved lines. These aren't on the globe. Stop. Not on the globe. Not presupposing globe shapes when we're measuring angles with straight lines. Why are you superimposing when on a globe by presupposition when we've just described a flat Earth prerequisite for angle corrections to the surface level utilising the horizon? No globe involved. Your next statement after me welcoming you to flat Earth isn't thank you for pointing out my correction to surface level. It's, well, I'll just assume a globe as my next statement. No, don't beg the question. Don't say when on a globe. We're not. We've just corrected to a surface level. Welcome to flat Earth hasn't been responded to. Your chosen route from there is to beg the question of when on a globe. No, we're not going to start on a globe when I've just welcomed you to flat Earth.
Oh, the globe at least has two lines that would compose these angles that Earth doesn't.
You don't have any straight lines on a globe ever. No, stop. Incorrect. Idiot that doesn't understand what a globe is. No straight lines ever.
The surface of the globe itself doesn't have straight lines on it, but...
Meanwhile, we're dealing with angles and surface level, aren't we? Welcome to Flat Earth. Stop trying to superimpose your fundamentalist religious zealot belief onto a very simple angle correction. To surface level. Not globe-shaped. Stop forcing your zealot belief on us here. I don't like it. Go and be religious elsewhere. We're not going to tolerate and accept this forceful religious belief that you're thrusting upon us all. Stop it.
Would you agree that a tangent to a globe would be a straight line?
I couldn't give a crap. We're not measuring anything globe-shaped when we do an angle correction to surface level. Stop forcing your belief. Tangent points don't give us lines for angles. A single point on the surface won't form a horizon, which is what we're using. You don't have a horizon on a globe. See slope-intercept formula. Nothing we're doing is globe-shaped. I'll ask you again, politely. Stop forcing your zealot belief onto us. Stop starting with an assumption that an angle measurement stops being a line and starts being a point with a globe dangling beneath that you force upon us by way of your belief. Stop it. I don't need your religious fundamentalism. Stop forcing it on us. It's not fair.
You can have a line that's connected to the point, right? So the line of sight to the horizon would be the straight line, and the horizon would be just this one single point.
So the horizon isn't a single point. Go and be religious elsewhere. It's the third time. I'm not going to put up with it anymore, Embo. Stop telling me stupid nonsense that affirms your religious inference that you're thrusting upon us by saying a horizon's a single point. You're an idiot. No, it is not. You are wrong and need to make such stupid assertions so that we accept this belief you're forcing upon us. Now, that's the fourth time I've told you to stop doing this. Stop forcing your religious sphere belief on us. You intolerant zealot.
The horizon wouldn't be a single point if you account for the third dimension.
It isn't.
But if you want...
You just told me it was, and I've told you to stop doing this. You just told me it was. No, I know it isn't, but your zealotry and globe belief that you're trying to force on us all, intolerable you are, leads you to tell me it is. It isn't. I've had to correct you. Now, you're not accepting the correction. You're not thanking me. You're affirming your zealot globe belief again, in spite of the fifth attempt for me to stop you being a religious tard and forcing your globe faith on all of us. We all know what we measured. You measure Earth flat too. We know what we corrected to. It wasn't curving angles. Now you're trying to force a single point that won't give you an angle, because that's two straight lines, not a single tangent point. But you must force your globe dangling beneath this line. We measure with respect to the surface. That's not globe, it's flat. I've welcomed you, and all you've done is chant your zealotry. That's all you've done. I'm sick of it. 6 times. Stop it. We're not measuring an inferred tangent because then we've only got 1 point to measure. Now, I've done it 3 times. Stop it. Go and be a globe-believing zealot elsewhere. You're testing my patience.
I'm glad that we are in a consensus that an angle requires 2 straight lines. So
not a tangent point then. So not a tangent point. So not a point. Not a tangent point then.
A tangent line connects to a point and
no, there's no point if we're measuring to the surface and your globe only has 1 point on this line. It's useless beyond your inference that we can measure the line, but it only has a relation to a globe dangling beneath it at a single point. So we're not measuring your globe surface then. No, we're not. It's just been introduced at a point dangling below what we are measuring. Now, that's 7 times, Embo. Just piss off. Go away.
It sounds like Embo thinks that the height of eye is established with a sextant.
No, you can establish it with a ruler above the surface level.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, none of this involves a globe. Corrections of height to surface level, your height above surface level, that's sea level, are all levels. Right, this is all flat Earth prerequisites. I'm sick of it. I'm not going to do it for an 8th time with him. Take your zealotry elsewhere. Go and talk to Simon Dan. And he'll go, yeah, Embo. We measure a line from a tangent point that only has one point with a globe that's surplus to requirements dangling below the line we measure. That's definitely got a globe somewhere to do with it. It's dangling below it, a single point that we're not measuring. No, we're not doing that. But Dan will tell you are, Embo, so go and talk to him. Go and talk to McToon, yeah? So you can suckle at the teat of globe faith. So you can suckle at the teat of consensus, who will agree with you when you bark nonsense about horizons being single points. They're not.
Nathan, they can't even mention horizon if they're on a globe.
I told
and they
him
can't
that.
even touch a sextant.
An angle measuring device. No, you're right, they can't. But they'll bark on about tangent points when we're measuring straight lines with respect to the surface and correcting to the surface when we're above the surface with a height we measured from the surface level in every single instance. Yeah, they'll tell me about somehow I've got to, by pure fiat, just assume a dangling balls beneath the line that we've just measured. No, I don't have to do that. Take your bloody zealotry globe religion elsewhere. We understand how it's actually measured. On screen for my audience is the globe from within the plane that we measure. You know, we're not getting lines to stars from inside a smegging sphere. That's not what's going on. We're measuring the surface. But when you transpose a globe into that equation, somehow you've got a globe wrapped around you and you're in hell measuring angles on a flat plane. No, you're not. No, but we understand fundamentally how this globe religion came to pass, how it was created with flat Earth angle measurements to the stars. Now, this diagram here is how the globe works. Well, it doesn't work, does it? Where you're actually measuring the angle from? Well, on the flat plane. Well, is the globe useful? Not unless you pretend it's a protractor, because you're inside it, measuring angles on a flat plane. Totally useless. What do we actually measure? A flat plane. What, the surface? Yeah, that's because the Earth is flat.
Right. So if I was on a rubber ducky in the middle of the ocean, would I need to do any dip correction?
No. By rubber ducky, you mean rubber ducky life preserver?
Yeah, the rubber ducky little raft that you go on.
Rubber ducky bit is just to make it seem a bit more childlike, but it's not the main focus. Life preserver to infer that you're actually in the water, Neil. Just saying.
Yeah, you got to make a joke when you
just above the surface.
Yeah, exactly. Endless, a periscope.
When you're being put to answer foolish questions, you got to make it childlike for them.
I'm just tired. I'm tired of dealing with religiotards. That's what we're dealing with. People who've got a religious belief and want to superimpose it on the reality of the measurements we take on Earth. And I'm sick of it. Don't need your religion anymore. You keep it.
Do you think the nautical almanac is a religious belief?
Yeah, because you're taking flat Earth measurements and then calculating them into sphericity with Kepler and Huygens. We can detail the history of how you take the flat Earth measurements and turn them into a globe for you to believe you're on, when in reality its only functional usefulness is to have its surplus to requirements as a glorified protractor wrapped around a plane that has the celestial sphere. You got the measurements of the star to create the globe you believe you're standing on, when actually it only functions from within. Now, I understand all those things, making it unequivocally a religious belief you hold. It came from the church.
So, regardless if you place the celestial sphere centered on the observer or the Earth, these two would be equivalent, unless you have something that is very close, like the Moon. Then you would additionally have a parallax angle, and you would have to account for that.
Angles with respect to what? A flat plane? Parallax is only described with a flat plane also. Yeah, difference in angles? Yeah, you keep using these flat Earth prerequisites, globetards. Stop it. Stop using our flat Earth angles that must have a flat plane of reference to use them. Stop using the reality of a flat Earth to superimpose your religious belief in a globe that came from those measurements into questions you have for me. It's very irritating.
So a parallax angle is measured in relation
to an angle.
Stars.
It's not going to come from a globe. It's an angle, isn't it? Yeah, so stop. Just acknowledge what I've said to you. Do not use flat Earth reality angles for anything that infers your religious belief in a sphere. I will not tolerate it. Second time I've said it to you. It's infuriating. I think I'll just use a little bit of flat Earth and then claim globeness with it. Stop it.
Well, you haven't yet demonstrated that flat Earth is even equivalent to the globe. Not
It's
only
surface level.
that, but
It's surface level. You measured it. You measured it in your example. Surface level. We corrected to it with dip, didn't we? It's an angle. We corrected to the surface, the thing that forms the horizon. How dare you infer that I haven't proven anything? I used your example to take a giant steaming dump on your globe by way of the angles that absolutely require Earth be flat to measure them and correct to them. It's surface level. But you just didn't hear me, did you, Embo? It went in one globe-believing ear and out the other. Because obviously anything that requires Earth be measured flat can only be immediately disregarded like I've not even spoken. No, what I've actually done, Embo, is told you off for using flat Earth prerequisites to infer your fundy sphere belief. I've told you off for not using our measurements of a flat Earth. I've done it twice. But no, I haven't. Yeah, I have. I've proven it with measurements. Yours. Dip.
what I have proven is that you can derive the formula that's in the almanac for the dip correction using the globe, and you haven't proven that you can derive it using flat Earth. So far, the globe
how
is
interesting.
supreme.
I can derive Earth being a unicorn from these flat Earth only angle measurements of stars. How interesting what we can derive from these flat Earth measurements. I couldn't care less. I couldn't care less. I don't care. Have you got any globe measurements? Excuse me, I'm the victor, not the one who's going to be chanted through by the guy in defeat, who hasn't acknowledged a single word I've said. Hasn't acknowledged me telling him off. He just keeps chanting his zealotry at me, doesn't he, ladies and gentlemen? No acknowledgement, no respect given. That's why my tone's taking a downward inflection every time I address you, the audience, or him. This globe-believing zealot that cannot help but infer his religion on top of flat Earth measurements over and over again. Now, I'm not going to tolerate it, Embo. I've told you now 4 times to stop doing it. That's it. You're going to tell me what you can infer from the almanac? What, with flat Earth angle measurements to stars? How interesting. Yeah, we know how the almanac's formulated. That would be to say, after the measurements. But that's all we're interested in, how it's measured. Earth. That is, Embo. And it's measured flat. For your examples! Then you got told off for using flat Earth measurements. For your religion in a globe! Then I explained how the globe came to fruition with the celestial sphere wrapped around it and the angles on a plane that work through the globe as a glorified protractor. You haven't acknowledged one word I have explained to you. You've tested my patience quite a lot with your fundy sphere belief, but that's about it.
It's kind of hard to adjust something when you don't have evidence for it and just declarations.
We measure Earth flat. You measure Earth flat. It's not just a declaration when we're measuring and correcting to surface level so we don't die at sea. What he's done is in a ham-handed way attempted to undermine that which he hasn't acknowledged a single word of by just calling it a baseless assertion. No, it's absolutely based in the baseline of Earth, surface level that forms the horizon that we correct to with straight lines, that's angles. It's measured flat, Embo.
Morning.
Shambhala.
Good morning. We do have a video to cover today, but I want to wait till Brian's logic attends because it's, as it transpires, his suggestion that we cover it. So I saw it repeated from someone else in our internal server, whatever you want to call it, Skype, basically. And somebody had repeated the message that Brian originally sent, and I'd suggested to Brian, you should really get in on this. And it was him that originally shared it. So Bob the Science Guy, as the title for the live stream indicates, is going to be the main subject matter. But, that being said, we are actually in a foreign, if you will, although I don't actually have my own server, but foreign to us as a group server, which is the 24/7 Flat Earth Discord, to get the name correct, server. So it's kind of the 24/7 Flat Earth Discord server, because that's the name of it. But yeah, we've come unexpectedly after a little bit of a chit-chat with AI yesterday, and hopefully it will be as warm a reception as it is in politics. Hello. Discord, that is. Good to be here. Oh, it's so nice to have you, Nathan. It makes such a nice change. Oh, well, it's nice to hear that from you all. And such a warm reception is always welcomed. Should we do a bit of housekeeping?
Yeah, it's a little bit dusty.
Any evidence you can acquire an elevation angle measurement from a curved baseline?
No,
As
but they'll try.
Embo pointed out earlier, he pointed out that angles are two straight lines.
Cool. Yeah, like everything Embo offered in the pre-show. Proof of a flat plane being measured.
Absolutely, and the tangent line to a curve is an example of a straight line.
It is. Fortunately, we're measuring the surface, and it's flat for the prerequisite angle that we're correcting to when we do things like dip. No sphere involved. I mean, obviously, everyone's entitled to their belief, and if you want to believe that two straight lines you're measuring with respect to a flat surface level has a dangling dingleberry earth dangling beneath it, then you're perfectly entitled to that belief. Meanwhile, we measure Earth flat for elevation angles. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
How are you sure that you're measuring it flat with this line if we've already agreed that you can have a straight line as a tangent to a curve, so that isn't exclusive to either model?
Because we measure it.
Yeah, but...
Sorry, yeah, but... Sorry, yeah, was that yeah, but? You mean yes, as opposed to yeah, but. There's no but involved. We measure Earth flat. Not yeah, but I can infer there's a dangling dingleberry below that line that we measured. Surface level. You could, and I already told you, you're entitled to your belief, sir. As per the pre-show where you got told there, don't force your zealot sphere belief upon us. That won't be tolerated. We can talk about the yeah, but measurements of a flat Earth that we need for angles to stars. From surface level. That would be flat Earth all the way. Yeah, but we can imagine there's a dangling dingleberry. Yeah, but that won't work inside the celestial sphere if you're going to infer that Earth's a glorified protractor, as I explained again in the pre-show. We understand where your zealot globe belief comes from, and it certainly isn't functioning with angles from a surface that you're standing on when it functions from within hell as Earth being a glorified protractor. We understand, Embo, your religious belief in a sphere better than you do. And you're entitled to it in spite of your ignorance of it. Just don't force it upon those who are more enlightened about where it came from. That would be flat Earth measurements. The ones that are, yeah, but we will be measuring.
Yeah. So the angle measured on the surface has exactly the same value as a one in the center of the Earth. That's why you didn't have to directly measure it from the center.
Oh, my bad. So you measure angles in hell, do you, Embo?
That's the exact opposite.
Stutter for me. It's just a simple yes or no question. Simple yes or no required. Do you, Embo, measure angles in hell?
No.
No, we measure them from the surface level, where we measure Earth flat. Obviously, you can superimpose your religious belief around the flat plane of reference we measure for these angles. But then you won't be measuring on a globe, you'll be measuring in a globe, and you ain't measuring in a globe in hell. We are measuring on the surface with respect to the straight line we need surface level to be for it to be an angle measurement. So we do measure Earth flat, we're not in hell, Embo.
How did that address my point in any way? Do you even remember what my point was? That the angle measured on the surface is exactly the same as the one in the center?
So there is no angle measured in the center?
That's true. It's just...
Sure Oh, so it's exactly the same as something unmeasurable, is it, you stupid globe-believing dick? No, we do only measure one angle. Now, this globe-believing zealot says it's the same as the unmeasurable inferred angle that was previously a dangling dingleberry below a tangent. But now suddenly we're inside hell, saying that, no, the line inside the globe that we're not standing on anymore is the same as the surface level that we do measure. No, it isn't. You can't enter a presupposed globe world that hasn't been measured and only comes to fruition after measuring Earth flat to say that when you measure Earth flat and create a globe that wraps around the plane that you measured, it matches the surface tangent plane that you're not measuring. This is ludicrous globe-believing zealotry spewing out of you, Embo. For the 8th time, stop it. Any evidence?
Yes, I can absolutely infer that because
Are we
that's
going to
the
do
only
this 9
method
more
that-
times? It's 9 times. I've done it in the pre-show, I've now
that's the
done it in
only-
the live show 9 times. Any evidence of the distance
only-
to the sun? No, it's the zealot can't help himself time. Zealot, sit down and shut up. We're not going to superimpose your zealot globe belief into a flat Earth measurement here. Is that clear? Is that
I
clear?
don't have any further measurement to impose my belief.
Elevation
That's the
angles.
problem.
Elevation angles. The ones you discussed and brought up in the pre-show. Elevation angles, sir. You brought them up. I told you off for using flat Earth measurements. I've done it 3 times. And all you can do is infer a hand wave based on what, a non sequitur I've offered? No, you brought them up. They're called elevation angle measurements. They are a flat Earth prerequisite. You need them. You bought them up. Now you're trying to justify how they match. Sorry, what matches the angles in hell? Oh, the flat Earth measurements that are suddenly nothingy and don't exist and aren't proof of anything. Why would you be suggesting angles in hell match surface level angles then if they don't exist and aren't important? Oh, it's because the only ones we do measure are the flat Earth ones he say match the ones in hell. We're not in hell. And you need flat surface level measurements to claim they match ones in hell. But as soon as they're absolutely defined as being flat Earth prerequisite, suddenly I haven't proven anything. Yeah, I have. Earth's measured flat. You need a flat Earth more than we do. The flat Earth that you suggested earlier match the angles we cannot measure in a presupposed hell-based system. Oh, so what's matching the ones in hell that we can't get to compare whether or not they are matching surface level measurements that we do take? Oh, let me guess. These measurements of Earth that's flat suddenly don't exist. I haven't proven anything, right, Embo? Bugger off to Simon Dan so you can suckle at the teat of consensus. I'm not going to give you that. What I will do is take your question about dip, angle correction to surface level, and point out that Earth is measured flat. And you can squirm and tell me about tangent points that aren't lines that are being measured, and then tell me how, no, actually it's not dangling beneath, we're inside it now. And they match surface level measurements, they're the same. Because you've gone to hell, tunneled down 59 miles to compare and contrast surface level measurements of Earth that's flat that we do measure, to say that they match, to simultaneously go on to tell me that I haven't proven anything, right, Embo? Earth is flat, sir. Stop forcing your fundy belief on us. That's 9 times. Bloody zealots. Any evidence
So
of the
I think
distance to the... Oh, my God. Embo, what part of go and suckle at the teat of consensus with Simon Dan don't you understand? Do you think it's your turn to maybe have a 9th or a 10th attempt to impose a sphere belief derived from flat Earth measurements of angles to stars into this discussion about flat Earth angle measurements? No, I'm going to go with no. We don't need anything further from you. I'm going to ask a housekeeping question. Maybe you'd like to chirp up about this one instead, Embo. Given that you're on the religious zealot globe-believing side, maybe you can give us a distance to the sun. Anybody at all? any evidence of the distance to the sun? Clearly not. Right, we've got a video to cover. This is Bob the Science Guy, and as is always the case, I'm sure Bob would appreciate us sharing his algorithmic love that we definitely do not receive as flat earthers. So, if you are currently in the live stream chat, I know we've not long, maybe 10 minutes or so, been live, but please toddle along to Bob the Science Guy and let him know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me with a polite, non-sweary, not going to get removed by the YouTube bots immediately comment that alludes to the fact that we have covered his video here. That is to say, all one word, at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me, and we responded to your video. And whatever polite comment you may wish to leave for Bob the Science Guy. So, hopefully, we'll play a little bit of, and hopefully we'll see Brian make an appearance, as it was his suggestion in the first instance that we cover Bob the Science Guy. But while I'm hopefully calling to action for the audience to toddle along to Bob, who would, and I think he would actually, I think Bob's one of the few people I could probably rely on. If he did make a response, I'd almost not expect Bob to put a link to my video, but I think out of courtesy he would. Generally, in terms of decency, Bob's a pretty good guy. You know, he doesn't tend to be a complete jerk. His argumentation's fairly standard as Globers go, but in terms of his demeanour and his personality, he's not that bad a guy. So, you know, be polite to Bob. He deserves it. He's earned it, in all sincerity. Not that I'm in any way endorsing any of his Globe positions. I'm not. And you'll see as we play the video exactly what I mean by that. But he is definitely worthy of at least a polite message. You know, don't step beyond the, "Hi Bob, nice to see you. Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me, responded to your video." And I, in turn, will try and keep it as polite as I possibly can when responding to Bob's comments in response to gyroscopic motion being fixed in space, things like that, which we'll get to. I think there's a couple of other people on the panel who have watched this, and I haven't. I've watched maybe top 60 seconds of it just to do a quick sound check and make sure it's leveled up okay. But I am actually unfamiliar with this. Why is it giving me the whirly whirl? Anyway, hopefully if you... Oh, he wants to play me an advert, that's why. Fair enough. Yeah, that gives an opportunity for the audience at least to pop along to Bob, as I have suggested you do. There is a link, as I say, in the live stream chat. You can see it whizzing its way by now. To Bob's video, and just let him know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me with a nice, polite comment. Hopefully he'd do the same for me. Anyway, has Brian tried to join?
Yeah, I got the whirly whirl as well, Nathan. I think it's because the subtitles are going to formulate for the video, and there's a lot of double speak, so...
I wonder where you're going with that. I'm like, this isn't true. I know this is wrong. And then you said to formulate the double speak in the closed captions, it takes a bit of processing power. Yes, you're right. I love it. Okay, right, without any further ado, this is, as I say, Bob the Science Guy.
This is Bob the Science Guy, and today we're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects, flight instruments, specifically the attitude indicator. Now, a very common argument that you will hear in the flat Earth is that in order to fly around the Earth, planes would have to dip their nose to fly around the globe. But
sorry, an argument you hear from flat earthers. No, that's a position the plane must follow if it's following. You just showed it. Are you insane? Flat earthers say this plane would have to do exactly as I show here. No, that's not something that we would need to suggest. That's a fact. If the ground's falling away from you, you've got to follow it if you're in a plane. Why would you superimpose this like it's an outrageous claim flat earthers make? I'm a flat earther, Bob. I couldn't give two shiny shites what your globe does. That's for you to claim. Now, we've got pitch data. I don't need to make any claims. The NTSB has it on data that you can see for yourself. Earth's flat, mate. Yeah, this isn't an argument anymore. You're a bit late to the party with this one. You might have had a bit of credibility if you were arguing back in the day when it was offered up with logical consistency. Go and argue with the NTSB. It's flat. There's no ifs, buts, or maybes about it.
But that can't be done because if you look at the data from the flight instruments...
Sorry, can't be done? No. You need to work on your terminology there, Bob. Isn't being done. That's a fact. Now, if you want to charge the NTSB with violations of the law of non-contradiction when they present flat Earth pitch data, you be my guest, son. Meanwhile, pitch data proves it. There is no ambiguity. It's reference to a flat plane. Pitch data proves it. If they're wrong, then you better take it up with them. Because I'm going to take the pitch data in every instance and not assert that it should be doing something else as you are doing. No, it isn't doing that, Bob. What you showed diagrammatically with your plane and your globe, it's not doing that. We can prove it. And lives depend on the data that we're referencing.
Specifically, the gyroscopic attitude indicator, which is rigid in space, it shows...
Yeah, that's what provides the information for the attitude indication on the pitch data. Yeah, rigid in space. And if there's any deviation for the cage around the gyro, it will show it on the data. Critically important if you're investigating death, Bob.
Shows that the plane does not dip its nose at all.
Yeah, let's just hear that again, Bob, just so we're absolutely clear what the data actually shows, because you've just stated it.
Instruments, specifically the gyroscopic attitude indicator, which is rigid in space, it shows that the plane does not dip its nose at all.
That's correct, Bob. It's actually above horizontal, the reference that it uses to describe whether or not it's pitching up or down. It's nose up with respect to horizontal in the data. Now, that is an undisputable fact. Earth is flat. Now, at this point, Bob, given that you've just declared the facts in this matter, I'm going to welcome you to Flat Earth. Go ahead, whoever that was.
He said up. You'll need a flat earth for that as well.
I was going to mention that earlier. It was within the 60 seconds that I had already listened to, so I'll be honest, I knew that was coming. But yes, as you've already done it, up. No, you're going to need to describe up with respect to something. Yeah? If you deviate from horizontal and you're going to describe it with vertical, that's up, then you're going to need the horizontal to describe it from. Just in case, and I already know it's coming, Bob decides that he's going to describe gravitational deviations. You're going to need a reference to describe them with, and they're not in the pitch data. We've just covered that.
Therefore, the Earth must be flat. Well, is this actually the case? Well, no, it's not.
Sorry, it's not presented as an argument, Bob. You might think you're clever, saying that according to flat earthers, it should go round a curved Earth. No, that's not correct. I wouldn't say that. I don't care what your globe does. You can make that claim, not me. But what the data shows is Earth is flat. That's uncontestable fact based on the data used by the NTSB. Now, you want to suggest that I make an argument with that data? No, what I do with it, Bob, is I slap it on the desk and make a conclusion with it. Because it's a fact, Bob. They're using gyroscopes rigid in space and describing with a horizontal plane of reference the angle with respect to that reference. Pitch up in this case for the entirety of the flight. Those aren't arguments, Bob, as much as you'd like to phrase them as though they were. I already welcomed you to Flat Earth based on the facts in the matter.
It's not, because flight instruments are not gyroscopes. They are
Sorry, are they not? What about the ones that are gyroscopes?
not rigid in space.
Oh, I see. So the gyroscopes that are rigid in space, that are used in flight, aren't gyroscopes, therefore aren't rigid in space. Wow, Bob. Wow.
They are instruments that are gyroscopically.
Oh, I see. So the gyroscopic rigid in space instruments that are used in flight aren't used in flight. They're actually gyroscopically assisted, not gyroscopic motion. Oh, I see, Bob. That's genius. That's really clever. No, they're just gyroscopes, Bob. They're rigid in space. And lives depend on the information that would be pitch data that we show is flat. Yeah? You're dangerously close to making a mockery of the lives that are lost and investigated by the NTSB, Bob. Yeah? You're dangerously close to it. And if you get any closer, I'm going to call you on it. Okay, Bob? Yeah, don't make a mockery of the NTSB's data. Yeah, many lives that have been lost have been investigated based on that pitch data, with gyroscopic motion at its heart and horizontal planes of references in the data. Now, if you're to suggest that some etheric or gravitational force not documented that may have had bearings on life and death scenarios, then that is pretty disrespectful. I'd expect that data to be there, and if it ain't, it just isn't.
We stabilized.
Shout out to Jardo for gifting 10 memberships. Really appreciate the support.
But in many cases, they're self-correcting. For example, while the heading indicator, which matches your compass heading, is a gyroscopically stabilized instrument.
Yeah, because it's going to be remaining rigid in space and referencing a horizontal plane when caged, if it's a manual gyro. So, yeah, you're going to need a flat plane for these instruments to work, Bob. As shown in the data that you've decided you're going to rearrange into an argument we make. No. Bosh! Pitch data, Earth's flat, Bob. You've already declared it.
It does not self-correct. And as a result, we have to manually change it every 15 or...
Sorry, self-correct? There's nothing to correct to, Bob. We've got the data to prove it. There's nothing to correct for.
20 minutes as we fly over the globe Earth.
Are we not flying over a globe Earth? The pitch data proves that, Bob. Bosh! There you go, Bob. There's no globe Earth involved. Pitch data proves it. Life and death information, absolutely the gold standard in terms of this sort of document. Unless you're going to call into question the investigations when people have died, Bob. Is that what you're going to do? Suggest that some self-correcting, non-correcting gyroscopic motion that isn't gyroscopically fixed in space, but is gyroscopic, isn't being documented, but is really there, because you believe a globe's involved when the plane doesn't pitch around a globe. It doesn't pitch around a globe, Bob. It's not on the information, Bob. The pitch data shows it's flat, Bob. This isn't an argument, Bob.
However, the attitude indicator, which is also a
What a complete shit show.
Gyroscopically stabilized instrument, does self-correct. And itself...
Sorry, self-correcting, it remains rigid in space, Bob. That's what gyros do. That's why you use gyros. But what's this self-correcting? Sorry, can someone just quickly Google search self-correcting gyroscopic motion? Because as far as I'm aware, it's either gyroscopic or it ain't.
Self-corrects to the vector of gravity.
Sorry, the vector of bending space-time? Come again? You think that pseudo-Riemannian geometry is taken into account with something that remains fixed in free space? No, Bob. No, your pseudo-Riemannian geometry is not taking any effect on anything mechanical ever, because it's a pseudo-geometry invented by Einstein. What kind of la-la land are you in? Does this pseudo-Riemannian bent space-time vector get shown in the NTSB data, Bob? No, it doesn't, does it, Bob? There's no pseudo-space-time. Are you suggesting that the pseudo-Riemannian bent space-time of Einstein should be accounted for when dealing with the life and death information presented by the NTSB? How utterly disrespectful of the dead. What an absolute outrage to all of those lives that have been investigated by the NTSB. They have not taken into account this pseudo-geometry, Bob, because it's pseudo. That's why. Nobody needs your pseudo-geometry when investigating life and death scenarios, Bob. How dare you infer that life and death scenarios should involve your religious belief in pseudo-geometry? How disrespectful can you be? Meanwhile, bosh! Earth's flat, Bob. It's right there in the pitch data. Did you not look at it? Maybe you didn't understand it.
Which is down. And as a result, as it flies over the globe...
It doesn't fly over the globe, Bob. The information and description that you showed with regards to the pitch data and it not pitching down to enter the void opening up ahead of it if you were on a globe, that isn't happening, Bob.
It's constantly adjusting.
Oh, I see. So the gyroscopic fixed-in-space motion of a gyroscope isn't fixed in space or rigid. It's actually self-correcting to a pseudo-geometry that isn't documented by the NTSB. No, Bob. There's no imaginary pseudo-geometry needing to be documented that it's self-correcting to. Because if it was self-correcting, it would be net correction 0, Bob. Yeah, pretty much like the flat plane of reference that is absolutely required to describe any deviation from it.
What down is, and
down, that would be, what, perpendicular to horizontal? You'll need a flat plane of reference for that also, Bob. Coincidentally, it's the plane of reference that when caged, gyro's useful for in flight. It's the principle they're utilising. The one you're violating with your little vectors in pseudo-geometry, Bob. They are not in the data, though, Bob. No, a flat Earth is. Maybe you should look at the data. Maybe you could show us where the pseudo-geometry is bending in that NTSB data there, Bob. Can you show us that? Oh, is it a gross oversight by people investigating life and death? Is it your version of a gross oversight? No, Bob, the NTSB haven't oversaw anything that had anything to do with pseudo-geometry, Bob. No, I think it's quite an affront to those who've died when you suggest that they've overlooked this vector in pseudo-geometry. They haven't, Bob. No, and I think it's very offensive that you should suggest men at the NTSB aren't doing their jobs correctly because they haven't put on the documents we do have the self-correcting pseudo-geometry that you infer gyroscopic motion, which is just fixed in space, Bob. That's what it's useful for. You know, referencing the flat plane that it references. Like in all those lines along the reference in the pitch data. There's plenty of other lines that you could look at, Bob. Like height with respect to sea level, things like that. They all need a flat plane, Bob. Just so you know, you've already gone through it when you described how the plane end pitching around your globe.
Maintaining a particular attitude in relationship to that changing down. Now,
sorry, what changing down, Bob? Did the NTSB miss the changing down? No, they didn't, Bob. They were referencing how high or low of the flight for the entirety of the journey, mate. They didn't miss how high or low it was, how up or down. They definitely documented that, Bob. Are you suggesting that they should amend it because it should have pseudo-geometry bending? You're telling me that they shouldn't be using a square graph showing height above sea level because that is actually wrong and it's bending around a surface that isn't accountable or pitch data doesn't show? What an affront to those who've died, Bob. It's outrageous. Shout out to Jade for the super chat. He says, get ready for some smoke and mirrors by Wolfie. Okay, I'm fully prepared. You know what I'll do with those smoke and mirrors by Wolfie there, Jade? I'll go, bosh! Pitch data, Wolfie. The stuff that you said had cost $140,000. No, it's shocking, but they actually publish it, the NTSB, people investigating life and death, and it's flat. No wonder you didn't want to give it to us there, Wolfie. No wonder you suggested it would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars there, Wolfie. It's because it proves it's flat. What was it you were telling Brian before we acquired it? Wouldn't show any difference either way. No, it shows it's flat. There's no ifs, buts, or maybes. Bob did quite a good job of describing how flat it is and how it ain't going around a globe in the data that they use to investigate life and death scenarios. And in some instances, death. It's a very serious issue that they deal with at the NTSB.
Now, to give you an exact idea of what I'm talking about, look at this drafting square. Notice that the top of this drafting square...
Sorry, can someone just dig out the pitch data and tell me where they utilise any such device when dealing with life and death scenarios in aircraft travel? Do they do this on the data there, Bob, or is just this you saying that they should be doing this? Have they got it wrong, Bob? Because this isn't on pitch data at all.
Is 90 degrees to the long edge of the drafting square. So, if we look at this as the vector of gravity...
Oh, sorry, where was that on pitch data? On the document, there's more lines to the graph than just pitch. Does it show vector towards the centre of a Earth that's curving? Does it show that? No, it doesn't show that on any of the data, Bob. It seems like you're just making this up. Now, given that they are investigating people who've died, I find this deeply offensive. Now, I'm going to do a little straw poll to see if I'm justified in the offence that I'm taking from this. But if you're to suggest that this garbage you're making up should be in the pitch data, and therefore that the NTSB haven't quite got it right where they've investigated people's lives who've been lost, families who've been broken, because this garbage you're inventing should be there, I find that deeply offensive. Would anybody else share my offence I take with this? Don't all go at once.
I do. Terrible.
Have you approached
No,
the
stop doing
NTSB,
that.
Bob? to suggest that they need vectors with pseudo-geometry in their life and death data that they publish to us and the rest of the public? Is that what you're suggesting, Bob? It's absolutely disgusting.
If we simply
Sorry, I was
rotate
mourning the dead, but Bob was disrespecting.
He is disrespecting them. I think this is an absolute disgrace.
it like so,
So what, you think like so, bending the horizontal plane of reference utilised by all of the motions and gyroscopic information provided on the data, you think that that should curve? No, that would physically alter the graph that they're using, that people have studied when they're puzzling over why they've lost their loved ones, Bob. Why are you disrespecting the dead man?
even though this is now a new down,
You don't have new downs, Bob. You can't violate the principle in the graph itself on the pitch data. What new down? What an absolute disgrace.
compared to when it was over here,
But there is no over here and over there. When they travel, they're staying with the same horizontal plane of reference to describe their height from sea level and their pitch. This is a disgrace.
this is a new direction for down.
A new direction? Is that what the people who lost family members should lean back on? This garbage invented by a bozo on the fly in the face of the actual data they were presented? Should they rewrite the graphs, Bob? Should they bend the base of the graph, Bob, to account for this changing down? What total load of nonsense! He wants to physically alter axioms of principles used in description to affirm his globe belief. In the face of all those lost lives, what an absolute disgrace.
Down, it's still at a 90-degree angle.
Yet to this thing you're holding, not to any of the references that the plane's using, and you're holding it, Bob. This has nothing to do with the data, you're just making it up.
To that down. So as
No, down is down, Bob. No, we don't have changing downs. If we did, we'd have to describe them with respect to something to describe that change from. That would be
the
horizontal.
aircraft flies over the curved surface of the Earth,
No, it does not, Bob. The pitch data shows it doesn't do that. Why is he lying? He's literally lying about what the pitch data shows. No, you disgusting man. The pitch data does not show that. It shows the complete opposite of that. It's not curving down. The pitch is up. You liar. Why is he lying? Has he not even looked at what the pitch data shows? Because it absolutely does not show what he just said. Let's listen again.
over here, this is a new direction for down. It's still at a 90-degree angle to that down.
Okay, so his piece of wood changes down. Okay, Bob, that's good for you. But we're talking about very official data on what it shows. Okay? Now let's listen to his next statement.
So as the aircraft flies over the curved surface,
Liar. We've got pitch data that shows it does not do that. And you're explaining that when it does not do that, as far as life and death pitch data shows it as a fact, it's just a flat earth argument. And now he's telling his audience the plane does nose down. Liar. Liar. You should be ashamed of yourself.
of the Earth, down is constantly being adjusted.
Not on the
to
pitch
be
data,
the
it isn't.
line between the aircraft and the center of the Earth. And that changes as it flies over the curve. So the angle that the attitude
No, it doesn't. He's just lying. That is not what the data shows. This man is lying. Liar.
indicator is reading will not change, even though the downward vector is changing.
So in spite of it not changing, you say it is. So this is your basis of proof. It doesn't change, but I say it does. No, it doesn't change, and we've got data that's life and death to prove it. But you're just going to say it does change, are you, Bob? No, you disrespectful man. So you don't believe the data as presented then because you say it changes? What, because it doesn't comport to your globe belief? You'll disrespect every life lost investigated by the NTSB? What an outrage! This is disgraceful!
So let's go ahead and have a look at an actual attitude indicator. Now this is the attitude indicator that we're going to...
Why? You've just lied about what it does. So now we'll have a look at it, so you can lie some more about what the plane does when the attitude indicator absolutely does not show that. You're just going to lie some more? Why would we need to look at it? You've just lied about it. Hey, John. That's Pablo. Upgraded his membership. Really appreciate the support. There's no benefit to upping your membership other than giving me more financial support, which I really appreciate. But I give everything out to every level member. But thank you very much for upgrading your membership. I really appreciate the financial support it offers me. So as a token, I really appreciate it. It's as good as a good super chat. That. Thank you so much. Did you have something that you wanted to add on this, John? Have you been listening?
Oh, no, I was just saying hey.
Okay. Well, have you got the gist of what we're doing as you've just joined?
No, sir.
Okay, well, I'll do a call to action. Today we are covering attitude indicators and the globe question mark. Yeah, it's absolutely a question mark. Attitude indication. No. We've got pitch data. It shows the Earth is flat. There's no ifs, buts, or maybes. Nevertheless, Bob the Science Guy is the producer of the video and indeed the name of the channel. Please let him know. I've put a link in the YouTube live stream chat as we are live to almost 100 people. So please let Bob know that I have sent you to his channel and share in the YouTube algorithmic love that we definitely do not receive from YouTube as flat earthers. Hopefully, if Bob was to make a response video to his disgraceful assertion that the NTSB data is incorrect and that the never-changing indicators actually change simply because he says so after holding up a stick. Please let him know, at Nathan Oakley 1980, sent me with a polite comment. Hopefully he'd do the same for me if he was to make a response. Hey, Flatsy.
He held up a stick and said attitude indicators are wrong.
Yeah, he said down changes. And then he moved a stick around in a circular motion and said that down changes with respect to gravity and the centre of Earth. Why? Because he said so. And the indicators that don't change do actually change. They're just self-correcting.
Down is with respect to a horizontal plane of reference, not
Correct.
the center of the sphere.
Correct. He's just lying. He just lied. Just made it up.
To be using the RC Allen. Notice there's a couple of features to it. First of all, this little kind of W-shaped feature here, it represents the aircraft. So that would be the left or the port wing. This is the right or the starboard wing.
Who cares? I mean, I'm not being funny, but at this point, he's just trying to lend credence to his baseless assertion, incorrect that it is, that he's just made. Now, what, if he waffles on about gyros and attitude indicators for a bit, there's some credence lent to his nonsense that I've got so outraged about? No. Let's see if we can get any more nonsense waffle out of him.
Was on his attitude indicator a few years ago and has graciously given me permission to use some of his footage. Now, the first thing that I want to point out is this is the same attitude indicator that we looked at a moment ago. You have the model number and you can look up the specs on it.
It's not on a plane. Yeah, once wired up, it can be demonstrated over many hours. What, you think that this on a desk is going to help you? I'm afraid not, Bob. No, we already have the references. We already have the NTSB data. Bosh! Earth's flat. This isn't going to help you.
If you wish, it is an electrically powered gyroscopic attitude indicator. Now,
maybe look up what gyroscopic means and then tell us again how it self-corrects.
He's getting ready to go ahead and hook up the power supply to this. Notice the red...
Boring!
I'm always...
Well, it did not have pendulous vanes, and that is correct. The earliest attitude indicator was a mason jar half filled with motor oil.
So did this self-correct to bleeding gravity? What is he babbling about?
Kind of give you an idea of what the direction of down was. We then went to...
Right, give you an idea of down? So this axiomatic principle described perpendicular to horizontal. We need an idea of that, do we? No, we understand what down is. John just summarised it not 30 seconds ago.
gyroscopically stabilized attitude indicators, much like the current heading indicators that we have now. However,
what do you mean, however? We've got all of the documents about them in flight. We've got it. It's done deal. Bob. Bosh! Earth's flat. There's no contesting this data. There's no repositioning it into an argument that even though the plane ain't dipping its nose around a globe, it self-corrects. No, you'd have to dip its nose down, Bob, around the globe, into the void that's opening up ahead of it. But what the indicators show isn't that, is it, Bob? So you've got to make stuff up to get around the fact that the indication, the data, isn't globe-shaped, it's flat. So you've got to lie to Glurf. None of this is being presented with data, you notice. Notice when we go through this, we put the data up on screen and go, there it is. Bosh. What does Bob do? Go to some old crappy video of somebody who's ripped a gyro out of a plane? So what? Our data's life and death, Bob. Notice you're not putting that on the screen.
They had to be periodically readjusted due to gyroscopic precession as we went over the surface of the Earth.
So you're saying the precession, so in this instance, if it's precessing, it isn't rigid in space, so it's faulty. It's not remaining rigid in space. So it's not a gyroscope anymore. So you're saying it wasn't a gyro, but to make it seem like it could maintain rigidity in space, it had to be corrected. So it didn't work correctly. Yet the principle of a gyro, Bob, is that it does remain rigid in space. If you're having to mess with it, it ain't remaining rigid in space, is it?
The gyro keeps a fixed frame of reference that is a horizontal plane, Bob. Why are you appealing to that gyro on a sphere?
He shouldn't even be looking at a gyro with a sphere belief. 103 people watching. Woo-hoo-hoo! Please share the show if you've not done so already. It's like 2 clicks to stick it onto your favourite social media platforms. If you're a big fan of Bebo or MySpace, smash that share button. It'll appear as the link to your favourite little social media outlet. So please share the show if you've not done so already.
Modern attitude indicators have pendulous vanes and correct automatically to the vector of gravity. Now,
that's not what pendulous vanes do. Pendulous vanes are used if you're in a tight holding pattern beyond the capabilities or motion of the cage of the gyro. If you're in a tight turn, you can push something that would ultimately remain rigid in space if you didn't push it beyond the cage's capabilities. Well, at that point, you need something to correct it. That would be pendulous vanes. But that's in tight holding patterns. That's what they're used for. They're not correcting to gravity. Now, maybe you got a little wiki reference that says they are, but that is not how pendulums work. Now, when they're flying straight and level, your suggestion is they'd need pendulous vanes to maintain corrections with respect to gravity all the time. But that's not what pendulous vanes do.
Next, we're going to demonstrate this autocorrection. So, I'm going to turn it back over to Wolfie and let him.
Go ahead.
If I was to concede every ridiculous and moronic thing he just said, he would still need an inertial plane to assert gravity. Bob, what are you doing?
You want to expand on that? I didn't go into that at all when I said gravity earlier. Go ahead.
Yeah. Gravity is, or Newton's gravity, is only applicable on an inertial plane if you're going to calculate it. It's not real. Just calculated with an assumption.
Of a flat plane of reference.
From a flat plane of reference. That's right. Bob, you don't know what you're talking about.
Take it from here.
So the gyro is now aligned nicely.
Nathan?
And what we're going to do...
Yes.
And for planes to fly, we need air pressure. So he agrees that we're under containment then.
Yeah, in order to maintain flight at all, you'd need the wing to actually perform its function. Create pressure differentials. Therefore, you need gas pressure for that function. Flight needs containment to form pressure, so you can have pressure differentials along wings. Without containment, there'd be no pressure, and there'd be no flight. Yes, correct. Well dropped in.
Is the first demonstration. The other
we stabilize how if it.
Let's go, D! No, drop the hoses! Has enough fire. Water.
Now, why are we watching this boring video of a guy with a gyro on his desk when we've got NTSB data, Bob? We don't need this. You know, beyond your inference that it's self-correcting with pendulous veins, that's it, that's all you've got. But we've got gyroscopic principles and pitch data. This might have flown, no pun intended, 8 months ago when we had the logical inference of flight with respect to a plane. Now we've got data that proves it. You're too late, Bob.
Point out
See, when a 20 degrees bank and the one
plus 1 degree of latitude.
But even it skipping through, I can hear him describing degrees of bank. With respect to what? Ugh. You're going to need a flat earth for this.
That's the
banks.
My God, there's a lot of this video just for him to mask his baseless assertion at the beginning. Oh, is this actually it? It's just someone else's video with Bob at the beginning.
Would be about an hour and
listen.
I want to remind everyone that 10 degrees
needs a flat earth.
Downward dip
needs a flat earth.
Dipping of the nose as we went around the curve represent.
We didn't go around the curve. We've got pitch data that proves we didn't, Bob. Why are you lying? Does he think? Does he just fantasize that we haven't actually got this data and haven't slapped it on the desk and gone, bosh, Earth's flat? And he can just keep asserting that it's nosing down around a curve when it isn't. What's he doing? Why are you doing this, Bob? It's absolutely pathetic and disrespectful, frankly. Shout out from 24/7 Flat Earth Discord Arena. Yes, I should really make a note of that. So today, as is the case with Mod, I think it was Mush that did it, he's put a link in the live stream chat at the beginning of this live show because we're in a foreign server. Not foreign as in we don't know what it is. I have been here before. But we're typically in Flat Earth Debate, which is Righteous's server. And today we're not. We're in 24/7 Flat Earth Discord server. So the name of the server is 24/7, 24/7 Flat Earth Discord. That's the name of the server. So hopefully one of my YouTube mods, will put a link to 24/7 in the live stream chat, so you can also join this exceptional server who is hosting us today. Thank you to the 24/7 mods.
That's more than 600 nautical miles. And to fly that in...
Oh, and thank you to Theo Mega for the super chat. Really appreciate it.
In a commercial jet.
Nautical miles are measured with respect to a horizontal plane. Why did he invoke nautical miles?
Yeah, it's doing an embo like in the beginning of the live show / end of the pre-show. Stop using these flat earth terms. Linear distances? Nautical miles? What? With respect to angle measurements? Again, off a flat plane? Derived from flat plane angle measurements of stars? Stop using our flat earth measurements.
At 450 miles an hour would be about an hour and 20 minutes.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say miles per hour is also flat then. If it's just the distance over time for a linear measured concept, then that's going to require a flat earth also, isn't it?
Well, all forms of distance are vector specific when they're created. But you can take those and bend them with a radius value or something like that. You'd have to get the radius value first, though, Bob. And you ain't going to do that.
Well, he can, but they'll need a flat earth for it.
So as long as this can correct that 10 degrees in less...
Sorry, so we can correct from this flat earth measurement that we need to correct from. Again, like Embo. Yeah, so we're going to need a flat earth to describe this correction. What are you doing, man? Are you serious? So you're taking a flat earth prerequisite and suggesting that there's a self-correction being made, but also it's pendulous veins. But also it doesn't get documented at all on the pitch data. We've already overcome this before you've started. As I said, and I'll restate it again, repackaging a fact as a claim that doesn't work from flat earthers about a globe won't alter the facts of the pitch data, Bob. You're not being clever.
Less than an hour and 20 minutes. it would easily keep up with the curvature of the Earth and read level flight.
Level flight, that's a contradiction in terms. It would keep up with the curve in level flight. Is he insane? Can he not hear himself?
Did he just say what I heard he said?
This can correct that 10 degrees in less than an hour and 20 minutes. It would easily keep up with the curvature of the Earth and read level flight.
I don't think he can hear himself speaking. He's suggesting that in level flight, it can keep up with the curve it's not correcting for, not documented, not shown on the pitch data. Has he lost his mind?
I'm going to call him Blob from now on.
I'll just call him Level Earth Bob. See if people appreciate that.
Rigid.
That's us, right in
This
the middle
really
of
is
the
a bit of a
country.
nothing burger
Birmingham
beyond his
Airport's
first
for everyone
3-minute
and
foray
every journey.
into bullshit.
Hey guys.
Beyond that first 3-minute
So there you
foray
can
of
see in
basis
just
assertions
5
that
minutes,
defies the pitch data, this is a complete nothing burger.
It has corrected itself back to the level attitude. So it's
Correcting to level, so we need level as a prerequisite. It's on your desk. Sorry, Dumbos, we've already got pitch data. We've got 2 hours of flight across the surface of the ground, and you're showing us something on a desk like we care.
easily correcting.
Correcting what? It's on a desk. Are you nuts?
10 degrees.
Is he asserting his
in 8
desk is
minutes.
curbing?
Say again.
Is that what he's trying to believe?
Maybe. I have no idea. It makes no difference. This is too little, too late. 8 months ago, this might have just about flown in the face, no pun intended, of the logical assertions that were made about flight. And we could have argued about it. There's no arguing this anymore. We've got pitch data. We already proved it's flat. Now, but for the fact that you guys need to be disrespectful and assert it's self-correcting with a reference to correct to that it isn't shown in the data to be deviating from and would violate if it was, you've got nothing, you've got absolutely jack to come back at us with against this data. It is what it is. Earth is flat. There's no getting around it. No amount of boring 30-minute, 25-minute videos showing gyros on desks is going to change the facts in that pitch data. This is a sad, pathetic, too little, too late attempt by Bob the Science Guy to overcome the facts of the matter with words that, frankly, are in disrespect of those who've died and had investigations done by the NTSB. I think we're done with this crappy video. Anybody else got anything to add on it?
Yeah, even when they assert their plane of reference, right, and say that it's 10 degrees out of phase with the prior frame of reference, it's still a flat plane. And they've just, instead of the sky turning above us, as it does, they're trying to turn the ground, but they're still keeping the ground flat.
Yeah.
They're insane.
To assert that it's deviating, you need it to have something to deviate from. There is no getting away from it. Here we go. Theo Megawatt, he says, curved flight, level data, therefore curved flight, end quote. Bob, the science guy. Yeah, exactly. It is a nonsense spew of doublespeak, and it is, quite frankly, too little, too late. Thank you for the super chat, Theo Megawatt.
Thanks, Bob.
Yeah, thanks, Bob, for nothing. What have you achieved other than getting me shouting at you for being disrespectful? That's what they've got now, as I said in the pre-show. Brian and I discussed this, I can't remember what exactly now, it's a bit long ago, but around about the time that this first hit the public. From our point of view, we put it out with the information as it is, describing it as it is, flat. And Brian and I went on a elongated phone call, having a good old chuckle about what they could possibly do to counter this. And this is what we discussed in great humour. And we're like, surely not. Surely they wouldn't. But yeah, they will. It'll just take them 6 months to just accept that that's the only thing they can do. Violate an axiomatic principle. And say that it just doesn't show it in the data. It's self-correcting, so we don't need to show how it's not doing what the data shows it does. Okay, if that's the best you've got. Yeah, even if Bob was here right now and he went through that garbage in person, at the end of the discussion, I'd do to him what I'll do for the audience now. Bosh! There's the pitch data. It doesn't show that. That's the end of it. What it does show is Earth's flat. I can keep waffling as long as you like to try and relieve some pain, globe believers. Nothing's going to change the data. Any more for any more? That's it. We're done with the video, by the way, if anybody from Discord was feeling overly polite and didn't want to chirp up just because we were covering Bob. That's it. Wait, did we just reclaim Thanks Bob? Classic. That was done a while ago. The super chat.
It's an interesting place to be when you're in a supposed debate that you can concede everything they say on Earth, and your point must still be correct.
Yeah. Apparently people like this Bosch term. Several people have... There we go, straight away. As soon as I said it before I'd even got it out of my mouth. A couple of people in the chat are saying, Bosch, Bosch. Yeah, that's what it is. I was trying to explain this to Angels of Light the other day, because there's a misapprehension, clear to us now, that this is something that should be presented at the beginning of the discussion. Like, let's argue about this pitch data. No. It's slapped on the desk at the end to make your point, because there's no arguing with it. It is what it is. If you want to say, oh, well, it just doesn't show the curve of the Earth. Well, no, it isn't pitching down around the curve, entering the void that opens up ahead of us at 8 inches per mile squared. No, it's not doing that, but it's because it does do that. That's what Bob's done. It's not showing curve because it does have curve. That's all he's got. No, data doesn't show that. So what do you want from me? You want me to invent an imaginary curve that isn't there because you say so? No, I'm not going to do that, I'm afraid. You can do it if you like, if it alleviates your pain, Bob, but it is kind of disrespectful. Not kind of, just disrespectful. Well, if there's no more comments, I'll round out and say a big thank you. With that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Did I start the live stream early?
Yeah, 1:45.
How did that happen? Oh well, at least it did a full hour, because I go by the clock on the OBS rather than the time, and then I press stop on the live stream. I'm like, oh God, have I just done a 3/4 of an hour show rather than an hour? Clearly not. Good. Oh, I'm finished early. How lovely. This doesn't happen ever. I had a happy accident.
Yes, I'm smelling something suspicious now.
Not at all. I've got nothing on. I've got no plans. I've no reason to do it. And now Brian Logic joins. One person I wanted there for the live stream. Were you listening, Brian?
Huh? It's making more sense as it goes.
I missed the live show. I'm sorry.
Oh, I covered your Bob the Science Guy video. Did you listen to all of it?
No, I only listened to maybe half. I couldn't listen to it.
Oh, it's boring as hell. You listened to the first 3 minutes, though, right? Because that was where all of his claims were made.
Listen, when I saw it within the first 19 minutes, when I first put it on, within the first 19 minutes, he said, right, he has this airplane and this toy airplane and a toy globe. And he says, flat earthers say, you need to dip the nose down to go around the globe. And he takes the plane and dips the nose down and goes around the globe. He says, that's not true. And then he shows it or something. It's just like,
yeah, I picked up on that. I'm like, he's just shown what it's got to do with his globe and his plane. But no, flat earthers say it needs to do this that I'm showing now. And it doesn't do this according to the pitch data. at that point, I was like, welcome to flat Earth.
Yeah, it was over immediately.
Yeah, exactly.
There was something else then within 47 seconds. He said something. Oh, yeah, he said, gyroscopes aren't rigid in space.
Yeah.
Yeah, the instruments are only gyroscopically stabilized.
Right.
Yeah. And what he was showing Wolfie's, that little silly nonsense that Wolfie, from Wolfie, with the attitude indicator. I saw that before. It was a few years old. But that's everything he's showing is just like, what I got from that is they have nothing.
That's what I said. That's what I said.
Yeah.
They got absolutely nothing. It's too little, too late. Would you agree with this assessment? Because there was a few things I was hoping you'd be able to agree with me on. Number one, correct. I'm not being offensive to you in this. It's kind of a justification for me saying, no, I don't necessarily want to use this argument. Would you agree that before the pitch data came out, this could have been conceivably argued? That is to say, we could respond to the points and argue back and forth about them. Would you agree?
No.
Pre-pitch data?
No. If back a few years ago, yeah. But not when I was arguing lift effect. Because the lift effect...
Fair enough. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
No, yeah, you're right.
Why
it was actually mushed into that.
Horizontal.
Yeah. Okay.
But prior to that, it is possible people... But I don't think so. I'd actually know, because as soon as people understand that the plane always has a pitch above horizontal, even before people realize why, the fact that it has a pitch above horizontal and it uses zero and zero on the attitude indicator as horizontal, the pitch data just basically the ballers are coming up with the type of nonsense that Wolfie and Bob are coming up with for years. But that the pitch data just ended them coming up with that, if you know what I mean. Now, it won't stop them coming up with it, but ended them trying to use it as an argument. So in a way, you're correct. In a way, you are. I suppose the thing is that anyone can walk up to a commercial pilot and go, bosh, pitch data. And that's the end of the argument. Do you know what I mean? Only someone crazy like Wolfie or someone like Bob was just stuck in the mud. Now, the two of them are pilots, but because they're such anti-flat earthers, only people like them would even attempt to go against it. Any pilot ever in history that just an anyway normal person would just go, nah, I can't argue that. You know, it's like, as I said before, if you use the analogy, it's like trying to argue that red is green. It's like, it's not, it's red. Do you know what I mean? There's no way around it. So that's how I view that. But maybe you're right in some ways, yeah. For most people, maybe.
They wouldn't have won if they'd have come up against you because you've got the logical consistency behind you and you can argue it effectively. But what I'm saying is, let's say it wasn't you and somebody heard the argument on Ballbusters one week and then was in front of Bob. There could be a proper back and forth that an audience would go, I'm a bit undecided here. You know, this is a good debate. You could perceive that 8 months ago. But then pitch data comes along. It's like, this isn't a debate anymore now. That's it. This is the conclusion. That's the end of it. What do you want? You want to tell me that it deviates because it doesn't deviate? That's what Bob's doing in this video. You're like, that's garbage. Next. What you got? That's it.
Yeah, exactly. Even what he did with his set square. With the set square, he's using the architect's set square. He was saying, like, the long portion of it is at the center of his globe, and the other straight portion that's 90 degrees to it, right? That then goes around the globe, which is a complete contradiction to what he originally said. But it matches exactly what he showed with his toy airplane. Yeah, so you tell me this thing is doing exactly what your toy airplane was doing.
Yeah, flat earthers say that it's got to go round with respect to the curve. Here's my tool that shows that it remains 90 degrees perpendicular to itself with respect to the globe, representing the plane moving around the globe, which the pitch data shows it doesn't do. So contradicting his original point that it's flat earthers that say a plane should do this, now I'll hold a stick that's got a 90 degree on it and say that it moves around the globe with gravity. Okay, Bob. Yeah, just double speak and
Same.
contradict your own claim that you say flat earthers make in the first 20 seconds of your video. Well done.
They have to, though. They have to steal our measurements as they claim their globe and give us a straw man to defend. They have to do it. There's no other way. They
I'm
need
tired
our
of it.
measurements.
Yeah, I'm tired of them nicking our measurements. It's getting irritating.
You know, I didn't even know that video would come out, but I got an email off of the guy Steve who gave me the pitch data, and he said Bob brought out Bob. I mean, exactly who he's talking about. Brought out a video, and I don't think you will be able to respond to this. It's like your man Steve, the guy who gave me the pitch data. I responded to that nonsense in my response video to the ballers' responses to the presentation. I knew what they would respond with. What they would respond with is a complete ignoring of the pitch data, which is what they tried to do. Right? And that's why I made that one response video. I wasn't going to make a second, just that one response video. Right? And anyone who watches that just can't make that like anyone who watches the pitch data thing, if they're sane, like as in when I say sane, I'm not saying Bob is crazy, but I'm saying that if they're of like a normal mindset, they just can't make that argument. They just know it's a waste of time. But the fact that the ballers tried to make that argument afterwards, I just showed them the implications of their argument in the video. Now, your man Steve watched that video and argued with me. And he sent me this email about Bob. And I was like, right, Bob has some special information about how the plane corrects itself to go around the globe. I was going, right. I said, no, I can't do that. The pitch data makes that impossible. You can't have pitch data on the globe, I said. And I said, I'll go and have a look. And it was the exact same nonsense that I already responded to. So that means this guy who gave me the pitch data argued with me in the comment section of my response video and then tells me weeks or months later about this other video that's the exact thing that my response video was about. It's like, you won't be able to respond to this. You're joking me. There's nothing to respond to. They think that they have something to respond with. There isn't anything. You can't. It's over. I'm sorry, ballers. It's over. There's no way out. Even Ruhif knows. I haven't heard a peep from Ruhif, and neither has Adam. Not a peep. Now, Ruhif will always be the first fella sending us messages. Not a word. So
really?
Yeah. So when Ruhif can say nothing, you know there's a problem.
I don't know. I don't have a Ruhif gauge.
No, even Adam said it to me. Like he said, Ruhif, nothing from Ruhif. Like Ruhif would normally, like, if there's any weird argument you could make to something, Ruhif will come up with it and make it. No, not even a hello from Ruhif. Normally he'd be spamming. He'd be at me and Adam in Skype, sending us mad messages. No, not a word. Was there anything? I only watched half the video. I had to stop it. I said, look, this is just ridiculous. Was there anything else towards the end that they came up with, or was it just as bad as the first half?
It was just Wolfie's video for the most part, with occasional interjections from Bob the Science Guy.
But you know what was so bad? One of the first things actually Bob brought up was the north-facing header, right? Which is a gyro that's vertical, right? Now the north-facing header, the way it's set up, it has to be reset every 15 minutes. So you must reset it to north every 15 minutes, right? But it's only because of the way that the setup of the north-facing header works. It's the torque causes precession to it, right? So it loses its alignment after 15, 20 minutes, and you reset it again. That's just a normal thing. But he threw that out there as if that was had some connection to the attitude indicator, as if they'd need to reset the attitude indicator every 15 to 20 minutes. You know, as if this is just something they do because it's a slow. No, that doesn't happen with the attitude indicator. And the reason it doesn't happen with the attitude indicator is because the attitude indicator, the gyroscope, right, is assisted by pendulous vanes, which is a damper system which stops precession, right? The only movement a gyro has out away from the position it's in, the only movement it's going to have away from that is precession. Once it's spun up to the correct RPMs, it's only going to be precession, which happens due to torque, right? But he was trying to give the impression that, without saying it, he implied that the north-facing header needs to be reset every 15 minutes because of globe. It's like, no, that's torque. I mean, what was so funny is I even have a video from the US Navy from back in the 1950s going through exactly what it is. And everyone in the comments saying, talking about the gyros, and everyone in the comments saying it's the best video on the topic they ever saw. It's just straight to the point, no messing around. US Navy, right? And Bob was trying to imply that when he brought up the north-facing header needed to be reset, that the attitude indicator, the gyroscope and the attitude indicator, which is a horizontal spinning gyroscope, has to be reset. No. And then he talks about pendulous vanes. That's a damper system. That's the whole point of them, is to make sure it's absolutely rigid in space. That's the point of them. So in a fighter jet or something, when they're banking, you know what I mean, hard, so it doesn't lose, the gyro doesn't lose its orientation.
Right. That's exactly what I said when they're in. I use the reference of when they're in a holding pattern because I'm thinking about commercial jets, but that's a much better example, right, with a fighter, because you can obviously achieve a much tighter turn.
Yeah, I mean, they have them in commercial jets, right? But they don't need them like they need them in a fighter jet, because a fighter jet.
There are tight holding patterns that do require them. That's why they have them. They wouldn't put them on if they didn't need them. Believe me.
I'm not saying there isn't, but I mean, most commercial jets, they go up to altitude and just fly straight. Whereas a fighter jet, I mean,
Just acknowledge it once, because otherwise I'll keep saying it out of frustration. When in a tight holding pattern, specifically, that's when it can be thrown off, because they're in a tight holding pattern. But beyond that, no, they're just flying. They don't need it generally, because they're just flying straight and level. What do they need it for? Nothing. What's going to throw it out? Nothing. There's nothing to throw it out.
Well, no, I couldn't say it couldn't be thrown out by what a commercial jet is doing. But my point being is that the whole purpose of them was so a fighter pilot can have an attitude indicator that they can rely upon. So the pendulous vanes makes it possible for that fighter pilot to spin that jet, to go straight up, straight down, bank in any direction, and then when they turn back to just basically what they're hoping to be normal horizontal, they can use the indicator. And they can, right? That's the whole purpose of the pendulous vane. So the pendulous vanes, it's just a vacuum system, and it makes sure that the gyro continually holds horizontal. That's what it does. It can't be knocked out. There's no earth curve or globe or gravity or any other complete other nonsense getting involved. It's just the point of this. So when they make the argument pendulous vanes, they're actually I'm just going to take my globe here and I'm going to set it on fire, and now I'm going to blow it up at the same time. Do you know what I mean? They may as well be doing that when they say pendulous vanes. They may as well be putting a stick of dynamite underneath the globe they've already set on fire. Because once you mention attitude indicator, it's over. And when you bring up pendulous vanes, there's just no way. Pendulous vanes make sure that the argument they're trying to make concerning their globe with the attitude indicator, the pendulous vanes make that. Not that was possible anyway, but the point I'm making is them bringing up pendulous vanes. Pendulous vanes is the very thing that makes sure the gyro can't do what they're trying to claim the gyro is doing. Do you know what I mean? So it's them taking what is like pendulous vanes. My point is pendulous vanes is our argument, not theirs. So they're robbing an argument again. As you just said, they're constantly at it. They won't stop.
Well, that's because they have to. They're compelled to.
Yeah, they are. They're compelled to do it. I'm sorry I wasn't here, but I knew you didn't need me. Like, I knew you did no hassle. Like, it's I knew the first thing I knew you would spot immediately looking at the screen within 19 seconds. Bob saying, flat earthers say with a globe and a plane, that planes need to do this to go around the globe, and he does it. No, they don't. It's like, you just showed what a plane needs to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The whole video was over in 19 seconds.
Yeah. But they loved telling us that we say the globe should do something. Like, those days are now over, right? I'm sick of it. Telling us that we have to move forward making their claim for them. I'm sick of it. No, you say it does X.
Actually, there was a guy who joined QE's the other night, and he was a baller. He didn't say it. He was just joined for a second. He was a baller, but he didn't say it. I just knew from his attitude. His attitude was really Australian guy. He was. His attitude was real. He was a real arrogant. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, he's a baller, right? But QE was like in the middle of doing the video. He wasn't really so enthralled by the guy. But the guy said QE, and QE didn't really pick up on it because he was in the middle of what he was doing. He said there was something in the video. He's saying he said so. Are you saying, or is Witsit saying, or something that you can't have an atmosphere or something next to a vacuum, adjacent to a vacuum? It's like basically, are you claiming that we can't have an atmosphere adjacent to a vacuum? No, it's not we're claiming it. That is just, you can't have an atmosphere and you can't have gas pressure adjacent to a vacuum without a barrier, solid barrier between them. That's not us saying it. That's just the way it is. It's just a fact, facts of life, right? These are just facts of life. But they want to reposition them into, are you making the argument? It's not an argument. It's a fact. You cannot have gas pressure adjacent to a vacuum without a solid barrier between them. You can't have that. It's impossible. You know what I mean? But they want to reposition it as if it's some kind of a flat earth claim. It's like, it's not a flat earth claim. It's just a fact of life. Do you know what I mean? As if we have some crazy claim that we need to defend. There's nothing to defend. They can't show a demonstration of their claim because their claim sits outside of reality. So that's that. You know, but flat earthers are always wanting to argue, well, I am claiming that you can't have gas pressure. Why are you claiming you can't have gas pressure? Why are you claiming you can't have gas pressure adjacent to a vacuum without a solid barrier between them? Why are you claiming that? That's not a claim you need to make.
Yeah, it's a fact.
Just a fact.
Exactly.
Wake up, flat earthers.
Well, there seems to be a trend where any flat earth arguments that we have, it ends up that they will adopt our arguments as their own against us and then act like it wasn't our argument to begin with. It's crazy gaslighting.
Well, that's exactly what it is, Flatsy. Gaslighting. An attempt to fool you in some way. I was even asked by Trevor Austin, a lad who's another commercial pilot. I was even asked on YouTube some while back. He tried it, and I was waiting for someone to try it. But he tried it. He said, what would the pitch data look like on a flat earth? Right?
Like this.
You know what I mean?
Bosh!
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, bosh, exactly like it looks here, right? It's like he was attempting to. I laughed when I just get the laugh emoji. Said, you can't be serious. You know what I mean? Like, he was attempting to hijack the pitch data as if it fitted low. I mean, are you serious? You know what I mean?
When they say that, you just say, okay, well, show me where it's globe shaped on it.
Show me the globe on it, yeah. But that's it, though. But just what Flatsy said, they're constantly trying to gaslight you, constantly trying to steal your like our arguments for themselves, because all they can do is hijack reality. Do you know what I mean? That's all they can do. That is all they've got. A hijack of reality. Try and hijack something that happens in reality and claim that has somehow something to do with the globe via some story they'll make up. That's all they've got. That's all they've ever had. Back in a minute.
I'm so pleased that generated a healthy discussion.
Nathan, I think you need to give the people in the Discord permission to speak. They don't seem to understand it.
I just got my permission, so.
Oh, jolly good. Hopefully there's a few newbies from the live stream.
Oh, by the
I'm
way,
sure
the globe data required to prove the globe is on vacation in Narnia.
Yeah, I'm sure the logistics of being in 24/7 so quickly, it'll have to work itself out. But I guess AI's on it right now.
But the arena has a lot of highly restricted perms and flow because it's designed for debate participants to not be overran by spectators.
Oh, my bad.
So, like,
I didn't
really
know where to go. I just picked a room. Do you want me to move into a
Well,
different
to be
room?
fair,
Do you want me to move into live stream
haven't-
too? Would that make it easier if I move into live stream too?
Probably. Because you already did so check this out. Nathan. So actually going to the arena, then basically doing a mock debate, but it's kind of like a really good cross promo, impromptu kind of breathe life into it, because you're kind of this like setting the stage. Okay, you debate, you do this. So I give you props for thinking of that. I don't know whether you'd thought of that intentionally, but regardless, it was a good idea.
I just went into the first room that I thought was an appropriate room. The arena sounded good. It's like the arena sounds great.
It was bloody hard to get into.
Next time I'll go in live stream too.
Yeah, we used to have. So what we used to have our live stream running. That was like general comp, right? But every now and then someone calls someone out. Just have a clear through debate for them. And so the arena was structured to have a referee. When everyone came down in, the debate participants would be assigned, and they would be the ones who'd really be able to speak back and forth or use the chat rooms for showing their information. Then the referee would be, muting people if they had to, enforcing the arena rules if they had to. Spectators generally weren't able to interfere. So it was kind of more structured in that way. That's the reason why it has restricted frames.
I see.
Sadly, even though there was many, many good arena debates, a lot of big names back in the day, they came after Miggy's channel where they were all backed up. I can't remember why they wanted to take Miggy down. but they took his channel down, and he had really not had a robust backup system. He was basically relying on YouTube to store them, and so we kind of lost pretty much all of them, except if anybody had already recorded them to another media.
We don't do that. To my knowledge, do flat earthers go around trying to take down globe servers? What's going on?
I don't remember any times of that happening, no. Don't try to get people fired from their jobs either, as far
Right.
as I know. Kind of like Brian Mullen, if anyone remembers him.
Yeah.
It's really sad. And also, there's shots fired on behind enemy or behind friendly fire, where we've had someone, if I want to name names, Witsit, who's coming here to 24/7 that we're in, and said that he was going to bury the server. So we have our
Why?
own coming after our own, if you
Why?
consider them our own, since they.
Why? Why would Witsit say that? That makes no sense.
He doesn't like to be critiqued, I guess.
So someone was critical of him in the server, and he was like, "I'm going to get this server shut down."
He
No,
didn't
it
say he was
wasn't
shut
that. It
down.
wasn't
He
in that
said,
context. No, it was in the like. It wasn't like I'm going to actively campaign to get the server shut down. Like the global do. It's like I'm going to do what I'm doing, make my arguments that I'm making, and basically
You're
put
breaking
a
up a little bit. I can't quite make out. Can only make out about half of what you're saying.
Yeah, you need a new mic, dude. Like mine.
he didn't say that he was going to shut down the server. He said, this is what he said. He said, I'll bury this server. That's what he said.
That can mean anything, though. As in, I'll expose you with truth, or it could mean a multitude of different things.
Yeah, well, and in the context, he was in the live stream. Just I think it was when him and QE were having their spat. Maybe it was after, because I don't know. Maybe QE left or something, or because while they were both in the live stream together, they were muting each other like crazy. It was almost painful to listen to. But yeah, he said something about burying the server. It's just like, why do you have to say anything like that? You could just present arguments and take your critique on the chin, like, I don't understand why anybody wants to, like, appeal to the room when they're talking to a certain person or people, but appeal to the entire room and then talk about burying the home server that has a bunch of information for anyone new looking into the topic, and they want to have some sort of guide where it's censored on the internet, so it's just messed up.
Oh, that's a like a mental thing when they appeal to. Sorry.
Go ahead from Discord, whoever that was.
Sorry, John. I was saying obvious grifter tactic.
I mean, to be fair, it's also the tactics of people who are being attacked, right? So if you're in a room, regardless of your otherwise motives, if you're presently in a point of contention between two parties where one is essentially attacking you and you're essentially attacking them, and transversely both parties are defending themselves, and it's heated, a lot of times insults get slang. A lot of times, if you were in person, I'd slap you like a sissy, or I'd, if I'm 6'5", blah blah blah, all this kind of stuff comes out, doesn't it?
It's weird. I don't know why people do that. But because
They used to tell me, they used to argue that with me all the time. They said, "Oh, you wouldn't meet me in real life." I'd be like, "Dude, you name the place, name the time. I'll show up, but I'll show up the day before. to set up all the logistics to take you out. I was like, why would I show up to a fight? If you just told me that if I showed up, you would totally destroy my life, why would I show up? Doesn't make any sense. I'll just take your word for it.
I just
All right,
always
so
find it
listen, that's
odd
how it's
when it
gonna
goes
go. Hold
that way.
on, bro. Hold on. I'm gonna joink move you guys all to a more palatable channel. Just chill for 1 second.
No worries. Wonder where we'll go.
A live stream too also has the YouTube activity open, but because Nathan has his own way to do that on his side, we don't
I
need
don't
to
mind.
use that.
It doesn't matter if
So,
we're both broadcasting the same thing.
no, I mean,
I think he's moving the room.
Yeah, it's actively all being moved.
Yep.
So that's why it got cut off.
Good.
all right,
I would
everybody's
say,
over
though,
now.
by someone, oh, sorry.
Try again, John. We're just doing logistical things, moving rooms and stuff. Go ahead.
I think part of the point of appealing to the room is because of their own insecurities about their argument. You know, they want to give the appearance that everyone's behind them and they're in agreement, and you just don't understand. In all fairness, that's how we learned in school, right?
Yeah, that's true. But if you adopt that behavior, you learn and when you're in your adulthood to not have that kind of behavior. If you're maturing correctly, I guess. I guess some people don't. But you learn to not have that kind of behavior and mentality where you appeal to those around you to like go against some other idea or someone else. It's crazy. The
Well,
only
when you
if you
start
appeal to
challenging,
witnesses, maybe like in real life, like you would appeal to a witness, but that's different,
yeah,
you know.
it is. Yeah, but you're taking them. You know, it was early in their childhood when they accepted this. You know, this, when the belief formed. It's like they're regressing to that moment, whenever it was that they accepted they were on a globe. It's going to be hard.
So how about those Globers who like to steal flat Earth arguments and then act like it was their argument all along? Like how they would argue for a geometric horizon until the black swan, and then it was an apparent horizon all the time.
Well, that's a good example, Fatty, because they are trying to claim what they did try to do when it was pointed out that it wasn't geometric. They then tried to claim that the non-geometric horizon was their argument. It's like, no, that's our argument.
It's really weird. And you're only going to get that kind of thing from like anti-flat earthers and those uh, just your run-of-the-mill Glober who listen to these anti-flat earthers as sort of like a counterbalance to looking into flat Earth, you know?
Well, I honestly thought Wolfie was going to come up with something, some kind of something, some software buried in the middle of the plane, something against the pitch data. But he never did. He never come up with nothing.
He never has.
No,
I mean, what
he
can
never
he
actually
show?
has. No, sorry, John.
Yeah, well, I heard him claim at one point in time that pendulous veins were what corrected gyros to the curvature of Earth. You remember that?
Well, that was their only argument for, even though it wasn't their argument. That was another argument they were trying to hijack. Go on. I do remember saying that.
Yeah, it's nonsense though. Like they'll even tell you that pendulous veins correct with respect to down. Well, there's no down in your belief. Why are you appealing to down?
Yeah, but he knows he only has to come out with a video like that to ease a lot of people's pain.
Well, see, down is something else they've hijacked. It's like down is not. There is no down on your globe. There's an in from into the center or out from the surface. There's no down. There's no up. Down doesn't exist in your paradigm. Look, the pendulous veins was always our argument, but because the borers came out with it and started throwing it at flat earthers got fooled into thinking it must be a boiler argument. No, just look at the pendulous veins. I don't think they ever brought up pendulous veins to me just as an argument just on pendulous veins. Or maybe they did it some years ago, but because I had researched pendulous veins and I learned about them, it was totally a flat earth argument because it makes sure the gyroscope is stable. It stops even precession. It makes sure that the gyro can't move.
Yeah, I was thinking about this. I think the idea that there is a debate to be had, that uncertainty exists, that's what they want to achieve.
Yeah.
When they
what we used to call
engage
neutral
with this.
outcome isn't actually neutral outcome. That they need there to be some form of debate so that there's the idea that it's debatable. It's not neutral outcome. It's just the fact that there's a debate at all. You're right.
Yeah, they need that because if it's
go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt. You were speaking before I.
Okay, so there are, when it comes to arguments, there is persuasive rebuttals, which are intended to persuade, right? And then there's accurate rebuttals, which are intended to defeat. But you can defeat someone else's argument without actually proving it wrong in the minds of other people if you persuade those people that your position is correct, regardless if you've provided the necessary logical sequence, regardless if you've presented the actual evidence or data. You can still convince people to your side. So in every argument, you have to decide, am I trying to persuade someone? Am I trying to prove someone? Because you could prove something to someone, and they'll walk away and still won't accept it because they're not persuaded. Right? So, for example, in this scenario, the only appropriate way to debunk this is to provide evidence that the plane has a momentaneously rotating horizontal reference. It's the only way. And since they can't do that, the only thing they can use is persuasion.
No,
say that again.
Say that again there. Say that again. Momentarily what?
Momentaneously rotating horizontal reference.
How can you have a changing horizontal? How can a horizontal change its orientation in relation to itself?
You have to parse out the definition of what both sides mean by it. Okay, well,
it only
think about it
means
this
one
way.
thing.
Well, I mean, that's fine, but doesn't mean only one thing to all people, right? That's the problem. So you have to convince them that your understanding of what it means is the correct position, right? If you can't convince them of that, they're not going to be persuaded by your argument.
But horizontal and vertical are kind of.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Brian.
What you just said there is ridiculous. I don't need to convince some baller that horizontal is a constant orientation. Like, and at that point, if I really did want to convince them, all I had to do was pitch that. the thing they're trying to argue against. There
Yeah,
is
but
constant orientation.
you messed up though, because you can't say the only thing I have to do to convince them is just tell them the correct information. That's not what convinces people all the time.
Yeah, but I'm not
Giving someone
trying to
correct
convince.
information
Hold on,
isn't the
brother.
same as convincing them. So it's a matter of goals. Like if your goal is to persuade them to your position, you have to take them on a path from the known to the unknown. Right? A lot of people aren't persuaded by the facts, and we all know that that's true.
But
Well,
I'm
we
not
actually
trying
have
to
to do the
convince them.
reverse.
Hold on.
Just one second,
Good
John.
thing
Go
I'm
ahead,
not
Brian.
trying to persuade anyone.
Yeah, I'm not trying to persuade them. That's the point. I don't care if some bozo thinks that horizontal can change orientation. Like, how many out of 1,000 people, how many of those people would think that's correct? You know what I
So
mean?
you don't
One
care if
maybe.
humanity perishes in a big lie?
No, I don't care. I'm not there to convince a baller that he doesn't understand what horizontal is. I'm there to debunk his claim, not to convince him of anything.
Well,
It's a fair
it's
point.
odd
So
too
let's say
because
this. Let's say this though. Like in a let's just use the word debate first, because a lot of debates aren't debates. But let's use that word. You're not always trying to persuade the baller, right? You might not even try to persuade the audience, but a lot of times you're presenting your case against someone who's against you, and they're not going to be persuaded no matter what facts you provide. But someone else is going to listen to you provide the facts. Then they're going to either acquiesce to those facts or be persuaded by those facts, and then say, "Okay, I've got to address this myself." So you don't have to necessarily defeat or persuade or convince your opponent when you have other people that are going to be benefited by it.
Yeah. I mean, if the audience understands reality and they understand what the pitch data is showing, there's nothing else, because the audience is all I'm worried about. The only argument they have is pendulous veins. But pendulous veins make sure that the argument they're trying to make can't happen, even hypothetically. It's like, there is nothing. Like pendulous veins, that's 2016. I remember looking at them back then. It's like, they don't have anything. If they had anything, Wolfie and Bob would have it in the video. You know what I mean? There isn't anything.
Yeah, well, keep in mind for the people that don't know the history of that, they went on their rounds saying, we're pilots. We have this secret data that proves that the plane is following an arced path to maintain altitude. That's what they claimed. We have proof. The plane is following an arced path to maintain altitude. And we all pressed them and said, "Okay, can you show us that, please?"
Yeah, Bob showed us. It's flat, therefore it's curving.
Yeah,
Because he
this
says
plane
so.
won't have to. Sorry, the plane won't have to pitch down when it goes around the globe. When it goes around the globe, what he shows a toy plane and a toy globe, and
In
a toy
fact,
plane having
no,
to
Brian.
pitch down.
It's only flat earthers that say it should pitch down, according to Bob.
And then he goes and shows how it pitches down.
Bob, the pseudoscience, Mr. Refrigerator.
his argument came down.
Is that what we're talking about?
Yes, yes. Today he said that level is deviating from level as you move across the surface of Earth.
Does that surprise anyone?
No, I said it in the pre-show. Brian and I discussed this literally before the royal we released the pitch data. Right, Brian and I were on a call while I was in a POMED class and just having a good old laugh about what they could possibly do.
Yeah,
Yeah, we saw this coming.
Well, that's all they can do. That's the only thing they can do is try and hijack the pendulous veins. That's all they can do, and it's not, and that debunks them. Not that they had an argument to debunk to begin with, like, but what Bob did in the video, what they do, this is something that they do in this scenario, is they treat horizontal and level as the same thing. Yet they want to argue that they're different at other times. Bob because the attitude indicator can't be in reference to level unless level is horizontal. Because 0 has to be horizontal. So if you're saying it's in reference to level, then you're claiming that level is horizontal. So that's what actually he did in the video, because that's what these people do. But in a different scenario, he'll try and claim that horizontal and level are two different things. You know, it's a big screwed up mess of globetardia that's going on.
It's
If
just meant
you
to
rewind,
confuse.
if you rewind their claim back to when it first started coming out, it was called the black box data, right? That's what they called it. They were saying when we get the black box data and show you, we're going to prove that the black box data shows that the plane is momentaneously rotating, maintain altitude around an arced path. They thought that that was there because they were so in love with the globe that they're like, everywhere I go, the globe proof is just going to fall out of the sky and land in my hand. Right? So then the black box was just that, black. Nobody knew or really had it accessible. So they're like, of course it's going to show that the plane is doing what we say. They never provided it. You know what? What if they seen it and they never provided it because they seen it, and then they just kept pretending like they couldn't find it? Because
Well,
once you found it, right? Was any of their claims come to fruition?
No, none of them. That's why I was asking Wolfie for that data for years. I don't know when I first started asking him, but I was asking him for that data. But it's a good few years ago, and several other commercial pilots. One of them is definitely a commercial. Two of them are definitely commercial pilots that were in on my chat, and just no, there was no providing of it. Oh, that's cost loads of money, can't get it, blah blah blah. But I have no look. If there was anything in that was anyway an argument for a globe, Wolfie would have got it. It's that simple. Kiwi, you should have a look at that video. I posted it to you last night. Bob the Science Guy's attitude indicator on the globe video. It'll crack you up.
He's only going to be able to see that guy's mug and hear him say refrigerators. I thought that would get a reaction out of him. He must not be present.
What?
He might be.
I just got back. I was looking at backyard because my two huge maples are gone. It's so weird. You talking about me?
Yeah, Brian said that you should go check out that video where Bob the science guy or Bob the pseudoscience guy is talking about pendulous veins or something. I was like, you're only going to be able to look at his mug and see him say refrigerators.
Yeah, that's all I could see when I look at. And the official name is Bob the pseudoscience fallacy guy. That's the official name. You got to get that down. Okay.
Aye, Captain.
Are your heels together?
And
There ain't no huts.
I
There's
just
no
want to know
huts
how
here.
someone made off with your maples and you didn't notice.
Say again? Somebody made off with them. No one made off with
Yeah,
them.
you
I
said
had
they're
them cut down.
gone.
I had people.
It was a joke,
I had
man. Not a dick. Don't take it so hard.
taking it hard. I'm just trying to get the facts in order. No one made off with any maples. Are you high?
You said they're gone. I was just messing with you, man.
They're gone because I had people cut them down.
Then why were you surprised that they weren't there?
I wasn't surprised that they weren't there. I went to look in the backyard. OMG. I went to look in the backyard because every day of my life since 2008, I'd get up, I'd walk out to the kitchen, and look outside to see my tree. They were just there. Well, I only seen one because the other one's on the other side. You see that out my own bedroom window. But I go out, they'd be just there. And it's weird when something is set in stone, essentially, and it's not there. Follow? Jeez.
So, did you let him take the wood, or did you keep the wood?
No, I didn't keep the wood. I don't got a fireplace, so they took the wood. Good thing my sister wasn't here.
Man.
She would took the wood.
I used to get that with the World Trade Center. Every time I drive over the bridge, I didn't see it
I
anymore.
love cooking with maple. I mean, you gave away a
Yeah.
bunch of good cooking wood.
Yeah. And they also brought some stump grinders. So they ground down the stumps, and with maples you get huge roots that come up higher ground. Right? So they ground those all down. My backyard probably isn't looking really good. The grass situation has to be worked on.
Hey, Eli. I need to get Vinny's email from you.
Right.
So,
Can you send it me on
Bob,
Skype?
pseudoscience. Wait a second.
Kiwi. Can you send me his email on Skype?
Yeah, I
Thanks.
got you.
Thank you. Sorry,
Yeah,
Kiwi. Go
I
ahead.
heard him say yes the first time. That's why I continued. So, you did the Bob the pseudoscience fallacy guy video, right, today?
Yes.
Yeah. It was.
It's a closed-ended question. It's a yes or no. There, Brian. So I already got a yes. So here's my follow-up request. Can you do it again? Because I missed it. I was sleeping.
No.
All right.
It was terribly boring.
The first the first minute was him making his actual double-speak contradictory claims that were in contravention of the pitch data, which was interesting. But then he just slapped in a Wolfie video with him looking at a gyro on his desk, which was incredibly boring.
Yeah, the argument they were making with when they caged the gyro and set it when they caged the attitude indicator and they set it off by 20 degrees, the argument he was trying to make concerning latitude. It's like, sorry, Bob, latitude, that doesn't exist on your globe. Where'd you get that from? Do you know what I mean? Yeah, at this altitude, that would be an air pressure. Where'd you get that from? Do you know what I mean? No matter what way they go, it's a room of swords, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Or flamethrowers. I can use swords. That's fine. Yeah. Yeah.
I got a mental image of if you've seen the movie Matilda, that box thing with the nails sticking in it that she gets put in. It's like a coffin looking
Chokey.
type thing.
The chokey.
A chokey, yes, the chokey. That's it. That's the mental image that I got.
Didn't Bob stick over on TikTok or wherever he went?
Well, what's funny is he's talking about a force of gravity in it. Yet he's there doing a PhD in astrophysics, which won't have a force of gravity. I mean, you know what? That video that Bob brought out with Wolfie in it, right? As some kind of a response to, like, he didn't even mention, he did make some mention to data, but he didn't mention directly us and pitch data from the bit I watched. But what that really is just, it's like a something soothing for the boarders to help them to go to sleep at night. That's what that was.
Their soul.
Yeah, it's not like, it's not a video. It's not in any way an argument against pitch data. It's, you know what I mean? It's just what he brings up is so weak, and it's so 2016 that it's just, they just don't. It's just
Let me
like
summarise his argument. His argument is flat earthers say the plane should nose down around a globe when the data shows it doesn't. Silly flat earthers. That's his argument.
Glue sniffer. He's a moron, boy. I kind of miss Bob because the level of moron is so high with him. So it comes out of his pores, right? It's so easy. You just look at him.
Well,
Go ahead.
Yeah, but that is a kind of half-handed, is it, Nathan, as you would say, attempt to hijack the pitch data. The pitch data shows us exactly what we would see on the globe. Is that what you're trying to say?
He's making a feeble attempt to turn matter-of-fact data into an argument that flat earthers make for planes needing to go round a curve. That's what he's trying to turn it into. I'll just play it. Listen, I'll play you the first. If you just
go ahead,
3 minutes
watch
tops. That's all we need.
Watch it too, QE.
It's a 25-minute video, but literally you only need the first 3 minutes to mirror his claims.
This is Bob the Science Guy, and today we're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects, flight instruments, specifically the attitude indicator. Now, a very common argument that you will hear in the flat Earth is that in order to fly around the Earth, planes would have...
I'm going to have to pause it because I want to share this with you. I want you to see what he's showing. Hold on a second.
Okay.
You got that?
Yes.
Rewind it a little bit as well so you can hear the last statement before he does this, because this is Brian's main point.
Specifically, the attitude indicator. Now, a very common argument that you will hear in the flat Earth is that in order...
Just so we're clear, this is an argument you will hear on the flat Earth, implying it's us that make this argument. We all clear?
Okay. Yeah.
To fly around the Earth, planes would have to dip their nose to fly around the globe. But
like he's just shown. We make that argument, QE. We make that argument because we like referencing globes and what things should do on them, what with us being flat earthers and all.
When you look up goober in the dictionary, there's a smiling, waving Bob.
But that can't be done because if you look at the data from the flight instruments, specifically the gyroscopic attitude indicator, which is rigid in space, it shows that the plane does not dip its nose at all.
Welcome to Flat Earth, you stupid bonehead. Yeah, so according to Bob, flat earthers say it should nose down around a globe, but of course the data doesn't show what the silly flat earthers think the nose of the plane should be doing with respect to a curved surface, like I show here. What an idiot.
It's hilarious. Don't do anymore. Come on. That's good. Thanks. Made my day.
Yeah, that is all you need. I mean, I said you'd need 3 minutes. 33 seconds was all it took, right?
Yeah. That's it. There he is. What if I come over there and slap you around a bit?
You should listen to the rest of that video.
Why would I want to do that?
Privately. Privately. With a few drinks in you or something.
Jesus, I can't. Nah, that's all I need right there, Brad. That hooks me up for the rest of the day. I could just think of that.
That would be a form of self-flagellation auditorially.
Yeah, I can't do that. I can't do that anymore with Bob. I'm sorry. I got to have other people around me.
But for the fact I knew his doublespeak was so concise within the first section of the video, I wouldn't have played it again myself because, as you rightly point out, self-flagellation is not really my thing. But for the fact that it is enormously funny to hear him try and work his way around to making us the claimant. You're like, what?
Were you in there, AI, when I challenged Bob? I said, what's the second law of thermodynamics right now? No delay. Tell us what it is and provide the equation. And for the next 25 minutes, this went on for 25 minutes, people. Just a simple question. Bob, what is the second law of thermodynamics? After the 25 minutes was over, everything went silent. I asked him again. I said, Bob, can you just, for the love of everything sacred and holy, just tell us what the second law of thermodynamics is? And all you hear is refrigerator. you there?
I can't
No.
remember, but
Oh God! Now you'd have remembered it.
See, the
It's
thing is,
one of
I
those.
know I've heard this story before so many times, and I can't place whether I was actually there for the original event.
I think somebody else was in your place. What's his name? Was in there. He was what's his name? You know, the old guy they got rid of from he used to work on cars all the time. What was his name?
Tony, Ian, Fred,
Battle Mud.
John, Nigel, Sammy.
Job.
Oh, Battle Mud.
Job. Who was it? I couldn't hear you because friggin' numpty.
Battle Mud.
Battle Mod. Thank you. Yes, he was there. He was in charge.
You talking about second law, and Bob reminds me of a Red Dwarf skit where there's the two technicians, second and third technician, Lister and Rimmer, and Rimmer outranks Lister. So Lister explains that he's going to take an exam to outrank him. He goes, "Oh yeah, what's Boyle's law?" And Lister responds, "Don't eat greasy food."
You have to be English to get that?
Boyle's law? You don't have to be any language, as long as you speak English. You know what boiling is.
Yeah, maybe it's too early in the morning. Why does it have to be food?
Isn't that your favorite topic?
You're not getting this. You're just a youngster.
Bob and Brenda are talking to each other, and I say talking to each other loosely, because they're talking completely past each other and not listening to what each other says. So Bob lays down a premise, and in a complete non sequitur, Brenda asks him, "Why does it have to be food?" And Bob answers yes, or something like that.
And he admitted that Brenda was smarter than he was. Yeah, it's classic numpty clip.
Gosh.
Yeah, you need to catch it. You need to catch that one. Yeah. I don't think I have it at hand. You wouldn't play it anyway, would you?
I don't have it to hand.
Found a gem from Brenda back when Arwen used to have people on his show. In my old Skype, and it said, "Brenda is tedious. When a stunt airplane does a loop-de-loop, is it creating a physical cylinder? This is an adequate display of Brenda's silly physicalist. Everything's physical. Every single thing."
From the genius.
Brenda
reporters,
agreed
Space-time
live
is a donut.
that your imaginary, and your imaginary girlfriend is a physical object.
No, it's the hole in the donut is space-time, isn't it?
Correct.
Right, 10 more minutes and I'm going to round out. We're doing the book later on.
Ain't doing the book. Haven't you heard?
No, what?
There's a little delay on that.
Why? No, I haven't heard. Fill me in.
No one's told you.
No.
What the hell? Well, it appears Adam has an issue.
Mental issue?
Well, we've known that for years, but other than that.
Okay, fair enough.
We'll talk later. So you don't have to go anywhere. We're good. Just stay right here.
Well, I don't have to come back
What?
for the book later. Jolly good.
What do you just want to stop right here and then go spend time with the family or something? No. You're Nathan Oakley. You got to focus. Flat Earth is your life.
I've got a tiny little train under a Christmas tree that needs playing with.
You don't play with them. You just hit start.
Yeah.
And if we see you with a can of cherry Coke, we'll be telling your dentist.
Indeed.
See, I used to just be able to go to my channel and type in, Brenda, and it would pop up. But not anymore, YouTube. Fucking clowns, man. You know what? I know what. They're ballers. What should I expect?
What, the people who run YouTube are ballers, therefore what more do you expect?
Yes.
Oh,
exactly.
yeah. Can I take advantage of that segue to poop on YouTube, if you don't mind? Usually, I'm world famous for pooping on Apple products, but YouTube should be pooped on with equal rights. So, I pay money for a subscription to YouTube, so I don't have to listen to ads. I don't really care about that so much that I want to be able to listen with my screen turned off to save my battery. So that's the main reason why I pay the money. For example, let's say I want to listen to your show on a recording in the background while I'm working, right? So I don't want my screen to be burning battery, right? So I pay the money. And then when I press screen off, the YouTube keeps playing rather than shutting itself off. But if you download videos to your YouTube downloads, or you're listening to members or paid subscriptions in the background, any kind of member perks, YouTube then removes, for whatever reason, the ability for you to turn your screen off. So in order to listen to any of that type of content, I have to burn through my battery. It makes zero sense.
That's wild. Lewis Rossman has a really big bee in his bonnet, and I don't blame him for this, because his argument is that the pirated experience, if you're just an internet user, is better than the paid subscription experience. In this case, the paid subscription experience, from my perspective, from my paid members, is that it limits the functionality of YouTube by being a member. So I often get a comment from a new member, "Why can't I play this video in the background? YouTube won't let me as a member." I'm like, yeah, I know. What am I supposed to say to them? Yeah, thanks for joining and giving me your hard-earned money. The facilities are worse here.
It's as if YouTube assume that there aren't just listeners, that everybody's watching what they're listening to rather than having it on in their pocket.
Yeah, but you can do that. You can, if I watch any old average video on my iPad on the web browser, I can just put it in the background and eventually the screen will turn off. I just put it down to the bottom right-hand corner of the iPad, and then the screen will time out, but it'll keep playing, and it'll keep connected to Bluetooth and things like that. So it means that if I want to listen to internet radio, you can listen on the iPad, and like AI says, you're not burning through your battery time. Same with the YouTube video. But not if you're a member. I mean, it'll still do it for every other video, but just not the member video.
But there's a reason with the products. Maybe you don't get ads with those members only, right?
Yeah, but that's true across YouTube, full stop, if you pay a membership fee.
There could be some sort of agreement, legal agreement that they have with the devices like Apple and Android, so that people have more screen time or something like that.
Maybe.
There's like
not
a
for our
loophole
benefit, though,
that
is
they
it?
found.
But that's the point. It's not for our benefit. So, likewise, I hate Netflix. So Netflix, when it first came out, wonderful. Everything functioned correctly. Picture was good. Sound was good. Now, you pay more money, and unless you pay even more money on top of the more money that they're charging, you get crap sound and crap picture. Furthermore, unless you have absolutely 100% up-to-date equipment, it won't give you things like 4K video. Just won't give it you. Why? Well, because of copyright reasons. They don't want you pirating this stuff, so they don't want to give it you in the highest resolution, unless you're obviously financially sorted enough to have the absolute top-of-the-line equipment to make it work. Well, if you just go and pirate the video, It will work in whatever format, sound, and picture that you like perfectly, immediately. That's Lewis Rossman's argument. He's not suggesting people should go out and pirate stuff. He's just pointing out that the pirated experience is 1,000 times better than the paid experience. It didn't used to be that way, right? When I was a kid, and this is irony of ironies, because back in the day, you'd buy your VHS cassette or rent it, and at the beginning of the cassette, it had an advertising campaign that most of us of a certain age will remember, where it said, you wouldn't steal a car, you wouldn't steal a handbag. Do we all remember that advert? I played it at the cinema as well. Piracy is crime, right? Don't download illegal movies. Don't download illegal music. Half the time, people who were watching that advert didn't even know you could do that. So, like, you could download free music. Piracy, I don't care. It just made everybody aware that you could do that, right? So, irony of irony, people started doing it. But prior to the downloading content that was garbage in terms of its quality at the time, through the limitations of the internet, what you got was some guy who'd sat at the back of the cinema and filmed it with a handy cam and then transferred it onto video and would sell it in mono audio with god-awful picture. That was what the pirate experience was like. And you paid the money to Netflix or Blockbuster, or bought it at W.H. Smith's, so that you had a good quality version with surround sound and a nice picture. Now, you pay your money to Netflix and you get a juddery awful picture and terrible stereo sound. Not terrible, but just not multi-channel as it should be. And you can get multi-channel if you pay extra for a inferior Dolby reproduction method that they use now, that you pay £10 a month for, and it's garbage. Some pseudo Dolby thing that they've decided to implement for more money. You're like, oh, get lost. You just made the experience crap.
So I won't be able to watch Jerry in high definition?
Well, yes, you can watch Jerry in high definition, but unless you've got absolutely top-of-the-line equipment and you're prepared to piss around decoding HDMI signals in an up-to-date receiver, you won't get it in multi-channel. And unless you've got top-of-the-line equipment or a bespoke box designed to do it that's brand new, or a computer that's got an absolutely up-to-date chip in it, and an up-to-date chipset, and an up-to-date Windows that's up-to-date, you won't get 4K.
Oh, man.
So it just beggars belief. You'd think the experience would be better if you paid. It certainly is not.
Yep. So just for translation purposes, dudes in the background, that means custom.
I don't know what you mean.
You said bespoke. Not a lot of Westerners know that term.
Oh, okay.
I'm having nostalgia, remembering LimeWire and other torrents.
Frostbite.
Oh man, dude, you should have seen, man. When I was in Iraq, man, everything is pirated. Everything, like they literally have businesses, and they just sell like everything we have in the States, but it's just like printed on cardboard, and then there's a DVD in there with a little sticker on it. It's like their entire electronics economy is basically pirated.
That's
Pirate
awesome.
Bay,
That's the way to
remember
go.
that? I mean, there are websites, 123 movies dot whatever that used to work. It doesn't work now, but there's some other website that's probably running, and yeah, it has all of the stuff that you want to watch in HD. It sounds great. It's free. It's hassle free. It's like you want to pay for the stuff, and it's like it's always a hassle. I hate
Bro,
those
that's what I told.
apps.
That's what I told YouTube when I realized what was going on. I was like, dudes, you do realize that there's free programs I could download and just use your content without paying you and get what I want, right? Like, why you gotta dick me over, bro?
Yep, that's exactly what Lewis Rossman's saying.
I told the guy on the phone, which stereotypes aside, we all know what his ethnicity was. I told him, hey, bro, I'm happy to pay $15 a month. In fact, I'd pay $16 a month if I could just turn my frickin' screen off, dude.
Yep. The most annoying part is it's a functionality that they've taken away. Same with me with surround sound. I enjoy movies. Now, my wife watches a lot of crap on Netflix that I'm not interested in, but occasionally there'll be a movie on. And I'll put it on and okay, great. I have actually got an up-to-date computer, so I can actually get a decent picture out of it. That's stuttery if you move your mouse. Why? Well, when I look it up on forums, they've done that just in case you're messing around with recording software. What? I just want to watch the movie and be able to move the mouse on the other screen without it going juddery. What the hell? That's ludicrous. Yeah, I can rip a DVD to my hard drive, play it back, and it's absolutely perfect. It's just stupid. But I want surround sound, and it doesn't give me any more, and it used to, up until 6 months ago. They just turned it off. I'm like, why doesn't it work anymore? So you spend, I don't know, a day or two scratching your head and looking it up on forums to get nowhere. And then a month or two later, you get an advert from Netflix saying, do you want our Dolby Digital service? And I'm like, what, the one that worked perfectly till you turned it off? Anyway, enough of my moaning. It's very appropriate.
All right, ready?
Ready for what? I'm going to round out in a second.
Well, why?
Because it's that time.
Time for what? What you got to do?
What have I got to do? Nothing. I'm just going to round out and say thank you to everybody. So with that, huge, massive, enormous thank you to both 24/7 Flat Earth Discord server and G Plus for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.